why that happened. Very, very strange. Just seemed to all kind of go crazy one moment. But sounds like we're back. Seems like we might be back in business. There's Sean. We'll bring Sean in to the TikTok. Hey, Sean.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, is that all right? All working okay?
Yeah, the sound is good.
Good. What we don't have is I can't add your camera. Hang on a second. How can we do that? We have a moment while we figure that out. How do we add that in? I think we need to do it like this. Don't know what happened. It just all went kind of a little bit crazy. But
All the other issues.
All the other issues. Yeah, all the things. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if like the what is it called? The inner circle, everything. I wonder if everything's fixed now.
That stuff is unlikely to be fixed because that all lives somewhere else. Yeah, I'll have to. I'll have to get into that. And right now, I'm just trying to see.
Radio Spencer's in the house.
Excellent stuff.
There's two pegs. Peg the Prophets is here. There's another one, Peg the Patriarchy, and apparently they became friends due to their names.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, what I'm not able to do right now is add Sean's fine image into the YouTube feed.
Because there isn't one.
Just because of just because of the order in which things all rebooted and stuff. But that's fine. I'll add it in when we clip stuff. So I think we're okay. We seem to all be back. W Part 2 says Promptology. Yes, we are back for some more. We were definitely not done yet. All we need now is some guests. So that'll be fun if we can get some of those. Let's see if we can. Let's see. We need to move the chat window out and see who we've got. Right, yeah. So we're back again.
Please share, please chat in the box, share, like, all that good stuff. Please.
All of that good stuff would be super helpful. I'm still just kind of getting everything back up and running stream wise. What else do we need to do? We need to do one of those and add a bit of this. There's so much going on. Honestly, if you could see my streaming setup, it's pretty complicated. 1, 2, 3, 4 screens, a couple of control panels, and about 7 different apps all running together to make all of this wonderful stuff happen, which is all great. But when it doesn't work properly, it's pretty complicated. But a
couple people saying you're quiet in the chat. You sound good to guests or to me as a guest, but okay. Like the chat.
Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully we are. Yep, and we hopefully that's better level wise. I can turn myself up a bit, but I think it's probably all right. I think maybe I just need to speak more loudly. Let's have a look. Right, that's all we need for now. Hopefully everything will be good. Okay, well we do have a guest in the guest box. So this is North Hollywood 1997. So let's try and get that happening. And hopefully it will all work. Well, hey North Hollywood, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent. I'm going to get your name up on the board like that. There we go. Welcome in. Thank you for being our first guest in the newly renewed It's Not Broken Honestly live stream. And welcome in. And what would you like to say?
Thank you. I would like to say...
That sounds like typical Christian apologetics. That's par for the course.
Okay, let's get in Jacob. Next. We've got Jacob and then we've got Doc Hive after that. Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Jacob, how old are you?
I have got very bad internet. I'm 24. Why?
We'll we'll pass on Jacob, and we'll get the next guest in, who's just dropped down and vanished. So we went from having a richness of guests to not having any. If you want to join us, of course, if you're on TikTok, just hit the request and you'll come straight in. Call queues are currently empty. And if you want to join us on the YouTube side, then I'll put the link in. There it is. Join link. You just copy that link into a browser. It's just tinyurl.com/JCguest, and you will be with us in just a moment. So, so I was saying 24 months. That's hilarious. Jacob, go ask your mummy. Hilarious as well. Okay, well, while we're waiting for guests, we still have some super chats to read. So that's always nice, isn't it? I will continue with those. Buzz says, FFL is who you want on the ground with you. Oh, French Foreign Legion. If war is a must, which I strongly oppose, French Foreign Legion is who I want alongside me, under my command, or commanding me. Yeah, they have a reputation for a reason. They're one of those outfits that just, as I said, that when crazy stuff needs to get done, they get called and they just do it. They just make it happen. Pretty impressive bunch of people. Acid Punch Drinking Game, interesting name. Thanks for the gifted memberships to Nick. Well, I would thank Nick as well. That's awesome. And Shane Strife said, W. Sean. This was while we were speaking to Iranato before. Yeah, General W. Sean, I think.
Thank you.
Of course. And Buzz said, I never met a constitutionalist who understands the Constitution, nor one who is okay with the fact that it was built with amendments and can change. Of course, because that would require some subtlety of understanding. And Ichigan said, landing on the moon is as close to 100% proof of the theory of gravity one can get. We could have not landed on the moon without Newtonian physics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you know things aren't going well when someone's arguing about, do we know whether gravity exists? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. If you've got the strength of those convictions, jump out of a fifth floor window and let's see how that pans out for you. And Nick Willett says, God is a theory? No. It's a man-made concept that has been used for centuries to boss people around through fear. I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, God is not a theory. It's just a silly man-made story. Tarpley, thank you for the £5 super chat. Much appreciated. And similarly, Roy Williams, much appreciated. And Techgeneer says, John looking like Tom Cruise in Minority Report to get the stream working. We appreciate everything you do for the community, John. Well, thank you. Yeah, I was trying to get it working. It was pretty wild. And I'm interested in, when the stream is finished, I'm going to try and figure out why all the extra stuff is just not working today. Do not understand why that's the case. But rest assured, I will be on it. I will be on it. So what we were doing while we were waiting for other guests to come along was I was sharing with you some of the comments from the YouTube stuff. But in fact, there's another thing I can do, which I would be remiss of me not to do, which is, of course, that we have had some questions sent in from the Inquirers level Q&A sheet. So I will definitely show you some of these. So let's just get that super chat off the screen right now, like that, and then just need to do a little bit of minority reporting to make sure that this all displays exactly as it's supposed to. Bear with me a second while I do this, so we can make sure that we can display these messages as well. It's going to be, where have they gone? Q&A is, where have my Q&A gone? I am looking for them and I will find them in a moment, I promise. Is it like this? Almost there. There we go. This will do it. Okay, so this should now theoretically display for us like that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have Hang on. Why is it not showing? Why is it not showing? Oh, I do know why it's not showing. Because we do that and then that. There we go. Now we can see it. So this is the first question from Miller, who said, why do Christians say God can do anything logically possible, square, circle example, I think means can't, and then immediately admit that God can break the three laws of logic with Trinity BS? Yeah, so that must be a can't. So why do Christians say God can't do anything logically possible, and then invoke the Trinity? I don't know if you've got a view on this, Sean, but my view on it is that the illogical BS, which is the Trinity, is one of those instances where the fact that it's hard to understand is touted as a feature. So it's like it adds to how profound it is, that it makes no sense. It's the way the story's told. It's like our human minds can't get wrapped around this beautiful, incredible thing. It's so wonderful and magical and spiritual and incredible that the fact that it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever is said to almost add to its greatness. But I think the whole idea of the Trinity is complete nonsense. I love Justin's demolition of the Trinity. If Jesus is fully God, then Jesus must have all the properties of God. Otherwise, Jesus is not fully God, because if a thing is fully another thing, then they must share all the same properties. There can't be any properties that God has that Jesus doesn't have. And if God has the property of being all-knowing, then Jesus would have to have the property of being all-knowing, but he clearly isn't, because in Scripture he says things like even he learns things, and he says even he doesn't know the time or the place of his second coming, which completely destroys the idea of the Trinity. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, there's also the issue where God is beholden to the laws of logic, cannot make a square circle. However, God is the grounding of logic and is responsible for the laws of logic. And we wouldn't have the laws of logic if not for God.
Right.
But somehow he's beholden to them. So the thing that he is responsible for maintaining has power over God, and God must adhere to these things. And so, yeah, there's that contradiction as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to get our next guest in. It looks like Caden. We did have another guest in the queue. Jesus has just dropped out, but we'll bring Caden in, and hopefully that will all work and be nice.
Okay.
Hey, Caden. Caden, are you there?
Yeah, what?
Maybe it was an accidental. Did you mean to join us?
Okay.
No. I'm going to say no to that. So we will drop Caden down. That feels like an accidental join to me. We did have there were a couple of other names in the TikTok queue who've just dropped out, though. We had Jesus, who was up there for a moment, and then there was someone else also whose name escapes me. If you're watching on TikTok and you want to join the conversation, just request up again. There's no queue right now. You'll come straight in, and we would love to talk to you. But if not, that's also okay. I've got other questions that I can share. So I will move to the next question sent in by Misplaced Armadillo. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the notion that many believers, in my direct experience, American evangelical Christians, behave exactly like they know belief isn't a choice by heavily restricting access to any form of secular media among believers. If a rock concert or a science book are such an acute risk to belief in God that they need to be rejected and avoided, how could belief possibly be a choice? They treat it as involuntary unless it's about hell. Interesting. A bit of a double standard. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think that's a really good and astute observation. They recognize that persuasion is actually a thing. If we were just believing things based on what we want to believe, then persuasion would be irrelevant. It would just be, I'm deciding to believe this because it suits me at the time. There's no need to present somebody with evidence that they find persuasive. But it's an acknowledgement that you are either persuaded of a thing or you're not. And so they're trying to shield you from those mechanisms of persuasion, away from the belief state that they want to maintain. So that's I think that's a very astute observation.
Agreed. And Hitchens, great name, of course, sent through, who do you find more disturbing? The Christian apologists who defend grape in the Bible, or those who defend genocide? Well, do I really have to pick?
Yeah.
Neither's a wonderful look, is it? And they, of course, tend to be one and the same, because the mechanisms for defending one atrocity are applied with equal enthusiasm to another. So when they say, well, God is in charge, if he wants to command a genocide, he made you all, he can do it, he's the boss, blah, 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 just leaning into the he made you, he can snuff you out, and divine command theory all at once, well, then that would apply to anything. And I think what I have found is that they'll fess up to the genocide more easily than they will the weaponized sexual abuse. They'll argue about that one a bit more, but they don't really argue about the genocide. No, I don't normally hear an apologist say the genocide didn't happen or the genocide wasn't ordered by God. It's more that they will just provide their excuses for why it's morally okay.
Yeah.
But in the case of the divinely mandated sexual assault,
she wanted it.
It's how do you know it wasn't consensual and all of that stuff starts,
right? Which
in some ways is even more offensive because it adds additional insult to the indignities being described there. So I think that's pretty horrific. Absolutely horrible stuff. Okay, I think we've got a few more of these while we're still waiting for guests. Wonder where everyone is today. Interesting. Normally the kind of earlier daytime streams are quite busy, but here we are. Mediocre Thoughts said, as a debate prompt, creating life does not confer the right to end it. Apropos what we were just talking about. I think it's really good. I don't know if it would sustain us through an entire live stream, but it's certainly something that I would want to discuss with believers, particularly those who have the double standard of railing against terminating a pregnancy because it's ending a life, but have absolutely no problem with God ending tens of thousands at a time when he feels like it. So yeah, there's definitely that. Okay, and then we have another sent in by the wonderful PVG, who I can never thank enough for his fantastic work, doing all the timestamps on the lives. PVG and Espresso are incredible. Super grateful for that. And PVG says, hi, John and Sean, question about Plantinga's argument. If he thinks evolution and natural selection doesn't care if someone believes in God for survival and adaptation to maneuvering nature, how then is his argument proving God is real? He's only implying that natural selection can choose you for reproductive fitness and survival, even if you hold stupid fairy tale beliefs that otherwise do not hinder what you have to do to survive in nature. So for anyone who doesn't know, PVD is referring to Plantinga's evolutionary argument against naturalism, which is where he says that evolution has shaped human brains for survival, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's shaped human brains for being able to discern truth. So while we might be able to, survive out there in the jungle because our brains are adapted to that, that doesn't necessarily mean that we would be that naturalism and our brains would be able to be very good at determining truth. The problem with that is it completely ignores the fact that determining truth is a key to survival. If you can't tell the difference between poison berries and the ones that are nice to eat, you ain't going to survive. You can't tell the difference between predator and prey, you ain't going to survive. You can't tell the difference between clean water and the water you better not drink, you ain't going to survive. So discerning truth and being able to understand that what's real and true around you is a survival skill. And the other reason this argument fails is that if that's the case, then they would not be able to make any claims about their God either.
Yeah, it's actually I never cease to be surprised at how much traction this argument gets, because to me this one is so obvious. I'm surprised that it took off at all. But I've heard quite a few theists actually bring up this argument. It's like saying, well, why does a cheetah run so fast? Because evolution is supposed to be made for survival, not for speed. It's literally the same. Yeah, it's the same concept.
That's such a good analogy.
Being able to run fast is a survival trait. Having an accurate enough picture or perception of reality is a survival trait. It's critical to survival. And I'll often ask them, if your ability to discern reality just completely disappeared right now, how long would you live?
Right.
You would die of thirst. I don't know what you would die of first, but you would not survive very long, because every mechanism that you have to survive is just gone, like useless at that point. Now there are certain species of life, like plants or what have you, that have a different survival strategy, and they don't depend on being able to perceive their reality in order to survive. They depend on other mechanisms, but we certainly do depend on it, and so does every other mammal.
Absolutely. And I think PVG continued this. It ran out of word count. Having said that in my previous query, I do believe that knowing what is epistemically true and untrue matters in natural selection and survival for humans to a degree, and holding stupid fairy tale beliefs can negatively affect survival if done radically. History has shown that, and people die believing in alternative health and voodoo philosophies. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And then the final comment, also from PVG, new question: how do we rationalize? How do we rationalists combat the lack of free will and the fact that life forms have no control over natural selection and survival into the future? Lamarckism is debunked, and epigenetics does not help in making trained behavior or traits into massive heritable traits. It's nature randomly giving life forms traits, and some of them happen to be fit and worthy of carrying on. This existential hopelessness is not remedied by religion. In my opinion, it makes it worse. I don't know. I'm sorry that you feel that it makes you feel a sense of existential hopelessness. I just think we work with what we have. You know, we work together, and we make the best of what we have, and we cooperate, and we understand that life is short, and we make it count, and take pleasure from each other and from our very existence, because it's precious. I haven't felt that sense of kind of existential hopelessness. Maybe it's just me.
Did he say the lack of free will causes that?
Yeah.
I was trying to parse out what he's saying there, because I can sort of understand where someone would come from on that. Like, I'm actually of the position to where if it turns out we actually don't have free will, I would be wildly unsurprised, right? But I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it or even caring about it, because let's say we don't have free will. I still have the sensory experience of having free will. Like if I eat a steak in a restaurant in real life, in real time, I have all of the pleasurable sensations, the enjoyment, everything that comes with that. If it turns out I'm in the Matrix, there's that scene of, I forget his name, but the kind of the bad guy when he's eating with the agent, saying, "Oh, ignorance is bliss," as he's like blissfully chewing on the piece of meat. He has the entire sensory experience of eating a steak. So if I'm going to enjoy a juicy steak, I don't care if I do it for real. I would actually prefer I'm doing it in the Matrix, because actually no animals are being harmed in that case, and I feel less guilty about it.
Absolutely.
But we have the sensory experience of having free will, and that's enough for me. Like when I go to the fridge, it feels like I can choose between chocolate milk and white milk. And to me, that's enough.
I would agree. Completely agree. The sensation of free will is enough. Wooby, welcome in.
Yes, hello, I have an argument for God. So if non-existence does not exist, then God not existing does not exist.
He's the same kid as before.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing
He's
ever.
this boy is an idiot. I mean, pick up the guitar, do something with your life. Honestly, just wasting your life trolling apologetics channels on the internet. You're not going to get girls that way, my friend. Honestly, trust me.
I'm curious if he's like just being funny, or if this whole persona he's built up, he's serious about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if he hangs up and he just laughs, like playing a Philbro instead of actually being one, because it's hard to take that guy seriously.
Yeah, he's an imbecile, and he this is all he does. If he actually wanted to engage in good faith, we could do it, but he's incapable of it. And I remember last time I tried, I said, look, it didn't go well last time. I said to him, let's agree to try and engage in good faith and really actually get into a substantive discussion. Let's do it, shall we? And he said, okay. And then he immediately started lying about not having called in before.
Right.
And then he started with, you're
this
conceptually cucked, and I've got my thing in your thing, and all that.
I know who you're talking about now. This guy's been calling in for a while, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's pathetic. I mean, just
his name before was Qualia, and
Qualia at one point. Exactly. Yeah, he's an imbecile. Yeah, he's an idiot. Okay, let's get in Caden, but I think this might be the same chap we called before. Are you there, Caden?
Yo, hello?
You are there. Okay, so it sounds at the moment like your phone is at the bottom of a goldfish bowl. Are you able to get any more presence on the microphone?
I mean, I can try.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best, but let's see if we can work with what we have. So, welcome in, Caden. Let's see how we go. What have you got?
Yeah, you referred to the Trinity earlier as illogical, and that God did not know everything as he grew in wisdom. Saint Basil actually refutes this in stating that to actually make that claim would to deny his human nature. We don't say that he actually grew in wisdom and that he did not know. It was just the rhetoric of knowing that he was growing as a person. It's actually the fulfillment of him having a human nature.
Did Jesus know the time or the place?
That verse actually, Saint Basil also refutes that. It's rhetoric to show.
Is that a yes or no?
It's not a yes or no answer. That's a false dichotomy.
It's not a false dichotomy. It's a real true dichotomy. He either knew or he didn't know. And in the text, he says that he doesn't know, and so he either did or he didn't.
So is that a yes or no?
No. Again, that's not the answer you're looking for, because that.
No. And the answer, I'm not looking for a particular answer, just a answer, either yes or no. Or you could even potentially say, I don't know. But a closed-ended question is like, is it the case that those are word cues that a yes or no answer is required to be fleshed out in order for the question to actually have been answered. So Jesus, no, yes or no.
Knowledge there is actually, the word is oide in Greek. So
so I'm gonna stubbornly stick to the question until it actually gets answered. I promise you, I'm more stubborn than you on this. So, is it the case? Yes or no? By the way, the mod tool on his thing is not working for me. Oh wait, I got it. I can fix it.
Okay. So when we refer to oide in Greek, it's also used in Deuteronomy. The word does not mean knowledge as in inside the mind. It refers to reveal. So if you go to the Greek, it actually just means to reveal. So it would actually, if you wanted just a genuine yes or no, it would say no. God, it was not the Son's way to reveal anything regarding the hour or the day.
Right. Well, I still think that the concept is completely nonsense. Something cannot be fully something and partly something and only have some of its properties. It's complete.
That's what it is, though. We say he is fully God.
Right, but is he omnipresent? Is Jesus omnipresent?
Yes.
Was Jesus omnipresent when he was walking the earth?
Yeah.
Oh, he was. So when he moved from one place to another place, he didn't really move from one place to another place.
The essence was omnipresent.
Oh, the essence.
Yeah. Oh, not Jesus, but the essence.
It doesn't say the essence is God. It says Jesus is fully God.
What? That's where the Cappadocians literally referred to it. This is actually,
Is Jesus fully God?
If Jesus is fully God, then that means that he didn't die, did he? If Jesus is fully God, he didn't die, did he?
Death just means a separation of flesh and soul. We say that he did die.
So God was dead.
Yes, God died, and that the flesh and the spirit separated.
So he
from one
was
another.
alive and dead, and in all places and not in all places. No wonder people don't take this gibberish seriously, dude.
This is just, you're misconstruing the Trinity because I don't think you know what our position is fully.
Well, I think you need to get a better microphone because everyone is saying no one can actually hear what you're saying. So pray to the Holy Spirit and come back when you've got a better microphone. Oh, honestly, how can anyone fall for this absolute gibberish? So God is apparently omnipresent. He is in all places and he is alive. So we're told to believe, we're expected to accept that Jesus is fully God, meaning he has all of God's properties, which means he must be in all places, not spiritually in all places, in all places. So that would mean that Jesus could not move from one place to another because when he vacated a place and was no longer there, he wouldn't be there anymore. That's what moving from one place to another place means. People, these are unspeakably stupid ideas. And it's incredible to me that billions of people in the world are bamboozled by them, are fooled by them. It's absolutely crazy. What I do need to do is remove the call rating stuff because it's not looking good at all. And so there's definitely some weird stuff going on behind the scenes here. I'm just going to remove the rate caller from everywhere where we can see it because it's pretty strange. There we go. Remove it from there as well. There we go. Yeah. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And, why can't the Holy Spirit organize a proper microphone for someone to call in and, he can create entire universes, but he can't get someone's mic to work properly. It's not good. Not looking good for the Holy Spirit today. Okay. We are going to get, it looks like next guest is Bed or Bad in a minute. We'll just do a couple of super chats. Bab says, I have great respect for the Gurkhas. Apparently the Gurkhas are pretty badass too. And I guess to drop down. So there we are. And Rosterman for show says, I heard some moms tell their kids, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. Fortunately, mine never said that. What a horrific thing to say to a child, to your own child. What is wrong with people? Crazy stuff. Horrible. And Buzz says, okay, honestly, the fart guy was funny. Not funnier than our guests. And Zakaya said, no comment, but thank you so much for such a generous support. I really appreciate that. That's huge. Thank you. And Falconhoof, sit down, open a beer, watch John and Sean. Heaven. See, there is a heaven. Thank you so much. That's very, very generous, Falconhood. Appreciate it. And enjoy your beer. And Buzz says, someone said Free Palestine and it just disappeared into the chat. I'm taking this super chat op to say Free Palestine, Fox Zionists. Something like that. I'm definitely not particularly happy with the current government of that country. Not the best. Hopefully things will change at some point. They have to have elections there this year. Maybe they'll get kicked out. We live in hope. And Zencat, I think God needs a chill pill back in the day. Thanks to science, that's available now. John and Sean are the cat's pajamas. All the best. Well, thank you very much. I definitely agree that God could have done with, like, I don't know, a nice back rub or something to just chill out. He was so highly strung. And Guy took himself so seriously. It's all like, I will smite and I will kill and all of this stuff. Just like, relax. Just
delight
relax.
in your ruin.
I will delight in your ruin. Yeah.
Chill.
He didn't have to be that highly strung, did he? If I was the all-powerful creator of the universe, able to make reality in any way I wanted, with infinite knowledge of the future as well, I would be permanently relaxed because I would know that everything would be unfolding exactly how I wanted it to. Because if I had seen that it wasn't going to in the past, I just would have changed it. So it's not complicated.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'd be chill. I'd be like the most chill person ever. Okay, let's get Surgeon in next. Hi, Surgeon.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just
Good.
had a series of questions since I seen you were an atheist.
Sure, welcome in.
All right. Just to start this off, I'm just gonna get a little bit of clarification, but you are an atheist, right?
I am indeed.
All right. And are you familiar with like the supernatural?
Am I familiar with it?
Yep.
I mean,
So the immaterial.
we dated for a while, but we never kissed.
Hello? Wait, no, I didn't mention that. I mean the immaterial, meaning anything that's like, let's say, for example, a ghost or like a demon, things like this. Do you believe in that?
Those things are all made up fantasies.
All right, sure. All right. Well, it'd be safe for me to say that you don't believe in all of that, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I just have one question. Have you heard about a Ouija board?
Yeah, of course.
All right. And have you ever played a Ouija board before?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
You guys have? Really?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the ideomotor effect is awesome.
Really? Oh, well, thank you. But, well, can you guys tell me what your experience about the Ouija board was? Because usually, I'm pretty sure you hear a lot of spooky, scary stories from all these people and things like that. So I want to hear what your experience is. So,
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It spelled out, this thing doesn't work. It's all an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
I actually used to sometimes, this is when I was like in high school. I think I played it when I was, definitely as kids too. I'm like accessing my memory bank here, but I explicitly remembering fucking around on the Ouija board and like moving it and like pretending to be possessed and stuff like that to like freak everyone out and it actually working.
Oh, wow. Well, I can't really tell you how to play Ouija boards, things like this, because frankly, I've never played a Ouija board, nor am I ever going to touch it. But usually I hear from stories about other people and how they usually have to channel this thing. Like you got to let yourself be like, I don't know, like let yourself open to things like that. I'm not sure if you guys do that, but
I'm getting the feeling, Surgeon, that you're talking about a view of the world in which essentially Halloween exists, right? You're talking about like things that go bump in the night and ghosts and goblins and demons and spirits. We have absolutely no reason to think that the world is such a place. We have no reason to think that any of these things are anything more than campfire stories. So I would just say to you, don't worry about any of that stuff. Just enjoy your life. The world is cool enough and fascinating enough and thrilling enough and incredible and awe-inspiring enough without having to say, you know what, it's not amazing enough. I need to have more. I need to have magic and I need to have vampires and demons and ghosts and spirits. All of that stuff is just from another time when people didn't know better. And we don't need to live like that now. So I would say to you, just live your life in the real world. It's pretty cool.
yeah, sure. I mean, I already live in it. I am living my life. It's just that I have a set boundary where Ouija boards, that's kind of spooky. So I'm not even going to touch that, nor am I going to be near that.
I'm not saying saying have a Ouija board and use one, but I'm saying that if you wanted to do that, there's as much risk to your well-being from playing with a Ouija board as there is playing with a chessboard. It's the same. It's just a thing. Don't worry about it.
Can I give you a piece of information about Ouija boards? I just looked it up right now. The trademark and rights to Ouija board are currently owned by Hasbro, which acquired them when it bought Parker Brothers in 1991. It's a fucking toy, dude. It's owned by a toy company.
Oh, really? Well, have you heard of Aleister Crowley before?
Heard of what?
Aleister Crowley before?
No.
Aleister Crowley used to be I'm pretty sure I'll just call him like the high tier witch. So he's basically a person who does all this magic, witchcraft, blah, 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 stuff with the satanic stuff, things like that. And he did mention before about using Ouija boards and how it usually channels a bunch of these demons, and then they start possessing stuff like this. I mean, well, if I hear
Is he like? Yeah, is he like a level 5 celestial warlock, or like what kind of witch
oh
is
yeah,
he?
yeah, he created his own cult. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All
So
right.
when I see things like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh.
That means his spell slots come back on a short rest.
Yeah, I just think I just want to say to you, Surgeon, don't worry about any of this stuff. It's all nonsense. Just enjoy your life. Don't worry about spirits and demons and what you shouldn't touch and whatever. All of these things that people have told you are some kind of danger are not a danger.
Oh yeah. I'm not really worried about that. I just wanted your inputs about what what your thoughts about the spiritual.
I think all of that stuff is just made up twaddle.
All right, got you. All right, then. Thank you guys for the time and your services on it.
Lovely talking to you. Take care. Take care.
All right, you too.
Bye. Bye. Oh, he was sweet.
That went differently than I thought it would be. I thought that was going to be, Yeah,
and how much better raised was he than that other Philbro idiot who called in earlier?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a young man whose mother can be proud. Okay, let's get in Scott Camera next. And we've got a couple more in the queue after that. So pleased to see that things are picking up. Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Very well indeed. Just going to get your name up on the board. There we go, Scott. Let's do that. Right. So our claim, obviously, is that atheism makes more sense. What would you like to say about that?
So I would say, like, I'm not like religious in any kind of conventional way. So I don't,
Okay.
I don't believe any of that stuff. I believe all of that religion has been human created. That's what I think.
Okay.
So, but as I've gotten older, and I am very into science and all that kind of stuff, and there's just a part of me that thinks that I know you say atheism makes more sense, but I've also had the argument with people where the argument is that the universe or all of the universes have just always existed. That seems to have been the argument that has been presented to me.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is it could be the case. I can't rule it out that the universe has always existed. And then let's say it hasn't always existed. It had some sort of beginning.
Yes.
I don't know what caused the beginning. I have no reason to believe it's a thinking agent, especially because it would have to be like a disembodied thinking agent. And I have no priors of any minds existing without a physical substrate like a brain.
Sure. Do you guys are you guys fans of like Star Trek or no?
I love Star Trek. I'll nerd out with you right now.
Yes. So like Next Generation, like the Q.
Engage. Oh, the Q. Yes. Yeah. I never liked the Q. It always kind of broke my immersion because he was like virtually omnipotent, and it's sort of like the Christian God where it breaks the realism.
Well, obviously the Q are something that just exists basically outside of our own existence.
Well, if it's outside of space and time, is that kind of where you're going with it?
Yeah, like to me, it makes more sense that something pushed the universe into motion rather than it just appeared out of nothing.
Okay, so two things. One, how do you rule out that the universe hasn't always existed? So there's kind of two parallel things happening here. Now, let's say it had a beginning, and that beginning is like that. See, that to me that seems incomprehensible that a being or even a what or what have you can exist outside of like existence itself or the universe itself. But even if we were to grant all of that it's a sensical concept for like a being to exist outside of space and time, which I'm not granting it, but let's say we did grant it, why couldn't it just be a what that exists outside of space and time instead of a who? Because a who is adding a lot more shit to be incredulous about than a what. Like how do we know it has a mind and intentions or what have you?
I definitely think, let me put it this way, and this is why, like, maybe this is not, I definitely think it is a what rather than a who.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
You know?
now if it's a what, that means it doesn't have a thinking, it doesn't have a mind. It's just something. You believe something caused the universe to exist.
Something
that isn't
tipped
a thing.
over that first domino to get to everything.
No,
going.
I got you. If it's not a thinking agent, then we're on the same page. Where you, I would not, by no normative definition of God, like would that be classified as a God? If it doesn't have a mind and intentions, it would not. I would not call that a God.
I'm right. So I'm in that agreeing with you in a way that, to me, that is using just the word God to explain something that we don't have a definition for.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is you favor the universe having a beginning. Something caused it. You don't think it's a thinking agent, but you just think something caused the universe to have a beginning. You can't really describe it, and then like that's as far as it goes. If that's the extent of what you believe as far as gods go, I consider you to be an atheist. You can label yourself how you please, but I would consider
I've always
you to be an
called
atheist.
myself a hopeful agnostic.
Yeah. I mean, I hope.
Yeah, at this point in time, like the question of the birth of the universe,
Yeah.
if it did birth, for it to just come out of nothing makes less sense to me than it coming from something.
Or have it always existing. I mean,
that's a possibility too, you know?
Yeah. So here's the thing, because like we can't rely on our intuitions and how we feel about things as far as incredulity goes is a poor measure. It's a poor pathway to truth. There are ways how reality functions, such as time dilation, that boggle my freaking mind and and ignite my incredulity.
Sure.
But based on evidence and the fact that we have to account for that with satellites and such, I accept that they are actually true. So like, and here's the weird thing as far as like my incredulity goes. Both a finite and an infinite universe kind of toy with my incredulity for different reasons, but one of them has to be the case. So something I'm incredulous to has to be the case. Like it's hard for my mind to imagine infinity into the past, right? It can't really technically imagine that. But then also coming up out of like having a beginning, what would that even mean? Or what it quote unquote existed before that? That's another area where I'm just incredulous. But logically, it has to be one of the other. And so no matter what, reality is such that it toys with my incredulity. And I just have to accept that. And that's okay. Just believe things based on evidence, and where there's insufficient evidence for an explanation, just say, I don't know.
So, and that's the argument that I made with someone one time, which they didn't appreciate this argument, and it's not the best, and I'm sure that it can be torn up any way you want.
Yeah.
But I said, if I walked into downstairs in my house, in my kitchen, and there was a chocolate cake on the counter, my gut feeling would be that somebody made it rather than it just appeared there.
But it's more than a gut feeling, because you know what chocolate cakes are. You may have made them yourself. I certainly watched my mom make them.
Sure.
We have a mountain of evidence that chocolate cakes are made by somebody. So it's more than just like, you're not going by intuition there. You're going by an enormous body of evidence that somebody made that chocolate cake.
Sure.
Yeah. And the other thing is that you're perceiving a change from the cake not existing in your world to the cake existing in your world, right? So there's a change of state. Whereas for something like the universe, we have no such change of state to contemplate. We haven't had the experience, nor could we, of seeing no universe and then a universe. It's arguable that that's not a thing that could ever happen anyway, because some people say there's no such thing as nothing. Nothing can't exist. Because if nothing existed, it would be identical to nothing not existing. So yeah, these analogies, they kind of feel you know,
I kind of feel like the universe, at least our universe, is some kind of cyclical thing, and maybe there's multiple universes, and and then they brings up the questions of like, how big is the universe? Is there anything beyond the universe?
Yeah,
Those
what
are
would
all the
that
kind of
even mean?
questions,
Yeah. Yeah, these are fun things to contemplate, and I'm happy you're not, wow, this is amazing. I don't have an explanation. Therefore, a thinking, all-powerful God did it. Because I think that's flawed thinking, but it's really fun to think about and contemplate these things.
Yeah. Well, thank you for hearing my perspective.
Of course.
And being respectful, because a lot of times these conversations people aren't respectful all the time.
No, we're always respectful.
We
If people come in,
experience that.
if people come in with respectful energy, they get it back. So yeah, thanks for coming in, Scott. All the best.
My pleasure.
Take care. Keep well. Thanks. Okay, we are going to get Lloyd in next. So I put a little straw poll out there on the YouTube chat saying, has the universe always existed or did it come into existence? I was rightfully pointed out that I should have added a don't know as a third option. But yeah, 93% of about 78 people or so said always. So that's kind of what people seem to agree around these days. Right, let's get in Lloyd next. I think this is Lloyd who we've spoken to before. And if it is, then this could be interesting. Welcome back, Lloyd.
Hello, John.
Hello, welcome back again. So, Lloyd, the last time we spoke, it didn't go fantastically well because the argument you made was last time we spoke. The argument you made was that if a majority of people believe something, then it's rational to believe that even if they're believing it for really bad reasons. That was the claim that you made last time. So in order to avoid further embarrassment, I'm going to warn you not to make that claim again today if it comes up. But with that said, let's wipe the slate clean. And I'll allow you to respond to our prompt in any way you like. So our claim is atheism makes more sense.
Yeah, I've got like a question for you regarding. It's a different angle, actually. I just want to see what you think about Area 51, for example, where it's a very secretive location where public not allowed to attend. So, yeah. So, like, hypothetically, like, John, if you were to be invited to Area 51 as a special guest, and there was, like, alien spacecraft there that you see or you come across, or, like weird things, like, would you question your existence at that point, or would you like?
I would not question my existence in the slightest. No, let's stick to the topic at hand rather than talk about the X-Files. So, atheism makes more sense is the claim we make. What's your view on that?
It just won't make sense, mate. Without God, your existence is null. Like, that's how I see it. If there wasn't a God, then there'd be no need for you to be an atheist. You'd be just a nobody. That's how I see it.
Without the existence of leprechauns, there would be no need for you to be an a-leprechaunist. An a-leprechaunist is someone who does not believe in leprechauns. Does that make sense to you?
It does, but like God is like the common belief in humanity, to be honest. It's like the most common belief. If you compare to leprechauns, it's a very
you're reverting back to the same argument. Many people believe it, therefore it's true.
Yeah, I warned you about that one. Please don't make the same mistake again of saying because a belief is held by lots of people, it's likely to be true. Because as Sean pointed out last time we had this conversation, there was a point where nearly everyone in the world thought the Earth was flat. And that didn't make it true. It doesn't make it true. The number of people who think something has got nothing to do with whether it's true or even whether it's justified to think it. So, why do you think that we would have? I can't remember how you phrased it. I don't want to put words in your mouth that you didn't say. You said something like, "If God isn't there, we would have no point of being," or something. Well, no. I mean,
Wait, what? You said if God wasn't there, there would be no atheists?
Yeah, because it's not as though, like...
I want you to think about this.
You're not refuting that there's leprechauns.
Hold on. I want you to think of, okay, this is hypothetically from your perspective. Got it. We live in a universe where no gods exist. And so what you are saying is that because no gods exist, everybody would believe in a god. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is,
If there's
because
no,
God,
hold on, if there's no atheists, that means every single person believes in a god.
no,
right?
you've got it wrong. No, you've got it wrong. So what I'm trying to make is, because majority of people believe in God, which is true, you guys wouldn't exist because you're refuting that belief. So atheists wouldn't exist if God like wasn't in the common minds of people. Like, you guys know that there's many believers of God.
No.
So you guys exist for that reason. To refute
What
it.
you said,
to argue against it. Yeah.
What you said, just tell me if you're going to backtrack off of this. You said, if there's an if-then statement here. If there was no, shoot, what was it again? If there was no God, then there would be no atheists. Yeah, that's what it was. If there is no God, then there would be no atheists.
Yeah.
Someone who's not an atheist is someone who believes in a God, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if there was no God, then there would be nobody who does not believe in a God, which means every single person would believe in a God. So no gods means everyone believes in a God. That makes absolutely no sense.
Babs has just said, this is the same argument as if there were no toilets, there'd be no need to shit. Lloyd, this is the second worst argument we've heard you make. The worst one was that it's sensible to believe something just because other people believe it. That was the pinnacle of lack of common sense. You need to come up with some better ways of thinking about stuff, because if there was no God, there'd be no atheist. It isn't an argument.
Like, if you travel around the world, for example, like, this is just, I'm not trying to belittle you guys or anything. Like, for example, just say if you went to like Saudi Arabia, for example, and saw like, I know you're not allowed to go there because you're not a Muslim, right? But if you saw some of these like locations and with a lot of like significance on religion, then you might have a different take on it. You'd be like, why are there millions and billions of people traveling in one particular location?
It wouldn't give me
for
a
the same
take.
purpose.
Lloyd, it wouldn't give me a different take. I understand that lots of people can share a belief. I could make the same argument to you about if you go and see, lots of people gathering at some kind of Christian gathering somewhere, or some, it's not the
same comparison though, John.
It is.
We're talking about Saudi Arabia.
It doesn't matter. The actual numbers. The actual numbers don't matter. The fact that a lot of people do a thing is not an evidence.
It's not
for
a thing, mate. It's more than a thing, though, isn't it?
It's still a thing. It's still a thing. It may feel like more than a thing to those people doing it, but the argument, lots of people do some things, is never going to be evidence for, therefore their beliefs are true. Never, ever, ever going to be that. And if you don't, I'm going to say this to you as nicely as I can. If you don't want people to laugh at you, don't ever make that argument again. It's terrible. Terrible.
Well, that's your arrogance kicking in, though, isn't it?
No, it's not my arrogance. I'm giving you friendly advice.
I'll tell you why. You haven't been there, for example. So how do you know that?
I don't need to have been there or experienced
it. That's your arrogance kicking in. That's your arrogance kicking in.
So have you ever been to a really, really big music concert, like a really big gig, like at somewhere like Wembley Stadium or somewhere like that, right?
Yeah, I've been to gig before, yeah.
Okay, you've been to a big gig, right? So when you're at a massive event like that, you maybe got 100,000 people all singing the same songs, all doing the same thing. It's pretty cool. But it's not the case that until you've done something like that, you don't understand what it means for lots of people to go to a concert and be involved in the same activity.
Yeah, but that's a song, though, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Saudi Arabia, like, pilgrimage isn't linked to songs. It's
it doesn't have to be linked
it's a spiritual
to
journey.
That's fine, yeah. But I'm explaining to you why the principle.
But if you like went yourself, John, for example, if you went yourself, as you know what, I've experienced it. Yeah. I didn't feel anything. I didn't understand it. Fair enough, but you haven't been there, John. Like, you're missing that experience. Yes, that's how I see it.
Have you ever had an enema?
What's that?
It's when they kind of clean your backside out with lots of water.
No, not needed, would it? But go on.
But when would you consider having one?
Why would I have that?
Well, if you haven't tried it, you don't know what it's like. Maybe you should do it. On that note, Lloyd. Thank you for calling us again.
No worries, mate.
All right, take care. Bye bye. Oh, dear, oh dear. What can you do? What can you do? Some people just can't be helped. Okay, we are going to get Bedbod Bad in, and then we've got Professor Huso after that. So, Lloyd's a force of nature. Bedbod Bad coming in right now. And then we've got some super chats to read as well.
I shall push the button. No, sorry, hello.
Hello, Bedbod Bad. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, hi.
Just going to get your name up on the screen. There we go. Right, welcome in. Let's have some slightly more sophisticated dialectics than we just did. Our claim is that atheism makes more sense. What say you?
Oh, that's the claim. Yeah, I was just gonna ask, just like, what do you have against God? I thought you said he was like,
well,
if he existed, he must be evil or something.
Yeah, if he exists, he's an absolute dick. But I don't have anything against him because I don't think he exists.
No, but couldn't it be that he just is not obligated to interact and intervene and look at all events?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. But here's the thing, is if he has the power to, for example,
maybe he can just talk to people.
He could, but if he has the power to make himself known, then he ought to make himself known unless he doesn't mind whether we know him or not. If he doesn't mind whether we know him or not, then we would still have a conversation about the amount of easily avoidable suffering in the world for an all-powerful God.
I don't understand that, but we want to be free, right? Humans want to be free.
Yeah, is God powerful enough to make himself known and then say, right, and then we could use our freedom to decide whether we want to have a relationship with him?
Yeah, but he could choose that, but he could also choose maybe that he is so big and so powerful, so if you just get to know about him, then he affects the world for all of those who does not want it to be a God.
That doesn't make sense. We don't want there to be or not want there to be. We just want to know the truth, my friend. We just want to know the truth, right? I've got thousands of people in my audience who spent years just looking for God, just looking. Didn't want or not want. In many cases, they did want. In fact, in many cases, they were desperately searching for God. I promise you, some of them are listening right now.
They could be lying, though.
Right? They could be lying, but they're not. Yeah. I know people who have been through incredibly painful processes of losing their faith and desperately calling out to God, reaching out to God, and wanting Him to be there. And He just, if He is there, completely ignores them. So
yeah, I think I lost you halfway, but it was nice to talk to you a little, though.
Okay.
I'll maybe call back another time, but thank you.
Anytime. Yep, sure.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. There we are. Short and sweet. Yep, God wants us to know Him, but also can't be asked to lift a finger to make it happen. Make of that what you will. Okay, we are going to get Professor Huso in next, but we'll just do a couple of super chats so we don't get too behind. Buzz said, I can't even reply to my own fucking comment about Zionists. YouTube is whack as hell. Fuck them. I had to edit this 3 times before YouTube accepted it. What can you do? YouTube, all online media, we're all being watched all the time and edited and all of that good stuff. And 46 String says, could Jesus have been sent to hell based on his life choices? If not, he wasn't human. If so, what does that say about his free will? Very, very good point for that. All of that Trinity stuff is just complete nonsense. Really is. Okay, let's get Professor Huso in next. Good name. And name up on the board as they come in. Hi, Professor. How are you?
Hello, brother. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Welcome in.
Welcome, brother. How are you?
I'm good. What would you like to say? Our claim is atheism makes more sense.
Okay, let's say that's the case.
Yeah.
How do you know that it's wrong to like unalive your guest that's in the guest box? Like what? How do you know that's wrong?
Right. Well, when you say how do you know it's
wrong? Do you believe that's wrong?
Can you shut up and let him answer?
Yeah. No, he's clarifying. It's cool. So
sorry, my bad.
No, it's cool. So when you say how do you know it's wrong, that implies a certain way of thinking about right and wrong. That there's a factual answer to that question. And I don't think that questions of ethics have factual answers. I think that they have perspectives that people have on them. So, for example, some people think it's wrong to eat meat. Other people don't think it's wrong to eat meat. Some people think it's wrong to have sex out of marriage. Other people don't think it's wrong to have sex out of marriage. And I don't think that those are questions that have true answers. The answers depend on what's important to you and what you want to achieve in your life and what principles are important to you. So the reason why I say it's wrong for me to kill people in my guest box is that I don't want to cause suffering to fellow people. I think it's wrong to cause suffering to fellow people because I don't want anyone to cause suffering to me. And to me, my idea of right and wrong is based on how my actions impact others. And so whenever I'm thinking about doing something, my calculus personally, and I understand that you may have a different view, but my calculus personally is this act going to impact someone in a positive way or a negative way? And if it's positive, then I consider it to be virtuous and ethical. And if it's negative, then I consider it to be wrong. And so that's how I would answer the question you asked of how I know something is right or wrong. And I don't think a God gets you the thing you think it gets you. Because if you're saying you think that you need a God to know what's right and wrong, is it the Christian God you like? I'm taking it is because you've got a crucifix on your sign. So
I'm a Christian, but how do you know that hurting someone is wrong? Because that's what you're saying.
He just answered you.
Yeah, I did answer.
No. You said that unaliving somebody is wrong because it hurts them. But why is hurting somebody wrong according to you?
So it's my personal preference to not cause pain to other people, and it's the way I identify right and wrong, the way I define right and wrong, is with respect to suffering caused to others. That's a subjective choice that I've made. I grant you, it's just a subjective choice that I've made. But if you think that your ethics, if you think that the way you define right and wrong and think about right and wrong are any less subjective, I have some disturbing news for you, and I hope you're sitting down, because your idea of right and wrong is just as subjective as mine, and it gets even worse because it's actually more subjective than mine. Because my idea of right and wrong is based on things we can actually measure. You can measure to some extent, and it's a bit clumsy and it's a bit fuzzy, but you can kind of measure someone's well-being. You can see if someone is suffering, or if they're suffering more, or if they're suffering less. You've got a way of kind of reality testing. So if my desired outcome is less suffering, now I do a thing and it leads to less suffering, then that's the universe feeding back to me, I've done it right. I'm doing okay. If you think that right and wrong are just defined by a God, you have absolutely no way of knowing whether your actions actually are right and wrong or not. You can't explain why it's good to do what that God wants. You're just expressing a preference to be obedient to what that God says. And in the case of the Christian God, it gets even worse, because the Christian God does and commands and says and watches over the most unspeakable, horrific acts that if a human being were to do them, you would demand, as I would, that person was held accountable, sent to prison, whatever you think the appropriate punishment would be.
Yeah, so brother, I'm not here to discuss Christianity, right? So your prompt says atheism makes more sense. I'm assuming you're talking about any religion, right? So I'm specifically here to ask you about atheism. Now, you said that somebody hurting is wrong because it causes suffering. Now, my question is, why is suffering
bad? You asked me this and I answered it. Did you pay attention to my answer, or must I say it all again?
Well, I asked you a different question about hurting, and then you used the term suffering. So it seems like you're just using synonymous terms, which is circular.
No.
Is it absolutely wrong, for example, to commit rape?
Well, yeah, I've answered this already. It's remarkable. I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but try and pay attention. I actually think about my answers, and when I give you my answers, I expect you to actually listen to them. Everyone else heard them. I don't think anything is absolutely wrong. I don't think that the words absolutely and wrong have any coherent meaning at all. It's like saying, is it absolutely delicious? There's no such thing as absolutely delicious. Some people like it, some people don't like it, some people have reasons for wanting to consume it, some people have reasons for not wanting to consume it. So I think that rape is wrong in all circumstances, to me, according to my ethical values, which are based on my disdain for human suffering. I don't like human suffering. It bothers me. It troubles me. I have a brain shaped by billions of years of evolution, which is capable of compassion, empathy, concerns for cooperation and survival. And for that reason, I react viscerally when I see others suffering. I don't like it, and I don't want to be in an environment where people are killing each other or raping each other or hurting each other. That's not the world I want to be in. And so I use words like wrong to denote that preference. There is no absolutely wrong. And if you think there is, then it would be on you to demonstrate how such absolutes actually exist, and you won't be able to do it.
Oh, okay, so just to steel man, right? So we're not like talking past each other, because trust me, I'm hearing honestly. I'm not here to try to be disingenuous, right? So to steel man, what you're saying basically is that according to your worldview, it can be okay. And when I say your worldview, I'm talking about atheism, right? So according to
Atheism isn't a worldview.
No.
Atheism isn't a worldview. There are atheists who are moral realists, who believe in moral facts. There are atheists who are not moral realists, who don't believe in moral facts. There is no monolithic atheism that has one specified set of ideas on ethics.
And you're about to say it can be okay to harm a child or what have you, and know that John did not say that whatsoever. If he's,
I'm not saying that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say was, according to John here, under your worldview, I'm not going to say the atheistic worldview, but under what you just explained,
yeah,
it can be right for somebody to subjectively, right, believe that graping is okay, and according to your worldview,
you just said you weren't going to say that.
No, he made a slightly different claim. He didn't say it can be right to do it. He said it can be right for someone to believe it. Look, I can't change what someone can believe. Someone can believe whatever they like. There's nothing I can do about what someone believes. And funnily enough, there's nothing they can do about what they believe either, because belief is never a choice. You believe that of which you have become convinced. But if you're asking me what would I think about someone whose ethics were that they were indifferent to the suffering of others, or to children, or to whatever, first of all, I would be very concerned about the well-being of anyone around that person, because I would consider that person to be dangerous. And I would respond to that person as a member of a collective in a way that was appropriate. So that would be to say, I might try to persuade them that their way of thinking about morality was wrong. Or I might try to say to them, you're not looking at this right, and trying to appeal to their sense of compassion and empathy. And if they didn't have it, if I thought they were a danger to others, I would act on that basis.
Okay,
Professor, can I ask you a question? Not you've been asking some for a while.
Yeah, if it's about Christianity, I'm not interested, but I have one more question.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm still going to ask my question.
Okay, what's up?
You can, yeah. So right now, if you saw a person about to gravely harm a child, would you accept some risk to yourself to prevent that person from harming the child?
Some risk to myself?
Yeah. Would you? Is there some level of risk to yourself? Would you risk your own safety? I'm not saying certain death or what have you, but is there some risk you would accept to yourself to protect the child from someone else harming the child?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's say you found out there is no God. You found that out for sure. Would that change, or would you still accept some risk to yourself to protect that child?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
I mean, so you don't know. So basically, are you saying the only reason you would want to protect the child is because God said so, and you have no compulsion or inner feelings of like wanting to protect a child just for the sake of it?
Yeah, so I have complete different worldviews, and that's why I didn't really want to burden shift. But according to my world,
no, it's not burden. It's not burden. I'm not burden shifting. All right, so go ahead, answer the question.
Yeah, so under my worldview, I don't even think that there could be reason without God. So I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how to answer that.
All right. So you don't value the child. You don't value the well-being of children for like just innately in and of itself. You just only want to value. So let me give you. So you don't know the answer to that one. Let me give you one final one. All right. So a man is about to harm a child. Actually, let's scratch that. God himself, actual God, tells you to harm a child unnecessarily, just wants you to do it. Would you do it? Or would you consider that good? Yes or no?
Wait, could you repeat the question?
God wants you to harm a child unnecessarily, just for the sake of harming the child. Would you think that that's a good thing and do it? Yes or no?
I think that's a contradiction. I don't believe that's a possibility.
No, there's no P and not P. So
No, I think
God
there
is
is.
the author. God is the author of morality, which means whatever God says or whatever's in God's nature is what's moral, right?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, but something along those
Okay.
lines, yeah. Something
Okay.
along those lines.
All right.
But I don't really
you avoiding these questions is what makes our position, shows that our position's on solid ground, because there's no question that John or I are afraid of.
Yeah, I have one more question.
If God is the author of morality, then whatever God says is whatever God says, or whatever's in his nature, however you want to define it semantically, is necessarily good. It's not a contradiction. There's no P or not P, but you're avoiding the question because answering it honestly would poke holes in your position. So everyone, I realized ahead of time there's like an 80% chance you would not answer the question, but I still asked it anyway for the sake of people seeing you not answer the question. Go ahead and ask your question to John so we could teach you how to answer questions.
Okay, so according to your guys' worldview, right? Apart from your belief in like grape being wrong, is it actually wrong apart from your belief?
This is now the third time you've asked that same question. I would refer you to the earlier part of the video. Just rewind the video when we're done, and you'll have the answer that I gave you then would be the same one I would give you now. I'm not going to give it again. You can ask a different question. You asked the same question in a slightly different form, which is, according to your worldview, is behavior X objectively wrong?
No, I'm not asking about objectivity. I'm saying apart from your belief about it, which is subjective according to you, apart from your belief about it.
So apart from your belief means objective. Apart from your belief means objective. I don't think anything is right or wrong apart from beliefs. That's what right or wrong means.
Grape is not right or wrong apart from your belief.
Correct.
According to you.
Yeah.
So according to you, apart from what you believe about grape, doesn't determine if it's actually right or wrong. So if somebody else were to do it, it could be right, and you don't have any evidence of that.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Know what you're doing here. You're slipping back into describing right and wrong as being objective properties of the world, when I have explicitly told you that in my view they are not. So that doesn't mean that my views on these things are arbitrary. Neither does it mean that. Because I say that my ethical intuitions are subjective, it doesn't mean that don't care about anyone else having a different set of ethical intuitions. I'm going to go further than you went. I would intervene to protect someone against an act like that, whether there's a God, whether there isn't a God. Under all circumstances, I would consider it the right thing to do to protect someone from being harmed by someone else, because my ethical framework demands it of me. I consider it to be a duty. Now, if you say to me,
you only think it's wrong according to your preference.
Everybody who thinks that something's wrong thinks it's wrong according to a preference, including you. Now, I know that you're terrified to talk. You're terrified to talk about your own. You've said you're not willing to talk about your own ethical framework. That's fine. If you're not going to talk about it, I'm going to give it to you. So if you think that God is the seat of morality, you don't have an ethical framework. All you have is obedience. All you have is you outsource your ethics to the same God who is fine with slavery, fine with genocide, fine with the killing of children, fine with the stoning of young women, absolutely fine. That is the monster that you've decided is going to give you your instructions for what's right and wrong, and you don't have any ethics. And yet you still subjectively choose to look to that guy for what you think is right and wrong. And you look it up in the book. Oh, slavery, fine. Yep. Genocide, fine. Got that. Yep. Stoning virgins. Yep. All fine. Eating shellfish. Oh, no, can't eat shellfish. No shellfish. Stoning gay people to death. Yeah, absolutely fine with that. And you have the temerity to come on here and express some kind of surprise that I say that I think these things are wrong based on my own ethical intuitions, based on my principle to avoid suffering. Do you have any clue of how ridiculous that makes you look?
Well, all I'm saying is that according to your worldview, you're only saying it's wrong according to your preference.
You're stuck on your script. Your script isn't helping you. John, do you believe a God exists?
Nope.
Okay. If a child was going to be harmed by somebody else, would you accept some risk to yourself to protect that child?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we have, but Professor, if you did not believe a God exists, or if you found out there was no God, you wouldn't. Who is more moral, John or you?
Well, that's a contradiction according to my view. That's not like a real thing.
There's no
God to
contradiction.
manifest.
Contradiction isn't some magic spell. There's no P and not P.
Wait, do you not believe in the classical laws of logic?
Hold on. Yeah, I do, but all right. So here we have John and myself. We don't believe a God exists, and we are willing to risk ourselves to help save a child from an assailant. You require belief in a God. You basically admitted that if you found out there was no God, you would tell tell the child, too bad, so sad, you're fucked. You would that's your attitude toward the child if no God exists. So you're not a good person. You're not more moral. You're a monster on a fucking leash.
Well, you guys can't even say grape is wrong in and of itself. You guys have to say, well, it's just your preference.
We've just said that nothing is wrong in and of itself. That doesn't mean
that's horrible.
That doesn't mean that nothing is wrong.
You don't think unaliving babies is wrong apart from your preference.
And yet we are actually more willing than you to protect the life of a child. With you, terms and conditions apply. With us, it doesn't.
Yeah, but you don't know why you're doing those things.
But
There's no justification.
No, we do. Did I not give you the justification? It's almost as if you asked a load of questions, completely ignored their answer, and then went on to the next line in your script. This is exactly what's happening here. So what was the basis I gave you for my morality then?
Yeah, okay, so the first question I asked you was, why would it be wrong to unalive the person in your guest box below me?
Yeah.
You then said,
we don't need to rehash the whole conversation. I asked you a specific question. What is the basis I gave you? Because you're implying that I'm saying things without a basis. I've given you the basis. So what is the basis?
I'll tell you why it's circular.
It's not circular.
So I asked you the first question, and then you said, well, essentially you said, well, you know that it would hurt them. And then when I said, why do you know that hurting them would be wrong? You then said, well, it causes suffering.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is going in a circle to prove it's zero justification.
He said more than that.
I said a lot more than that, actually. You seem to
you're just ignoring the important parts because you're a dishonest interlocutor.
You're ignoring the parts
where you don't understand it.
Which is also fine. If you don't understand it, then you don't understand it. But you're conveniently ignoring the parts when I say that I define right and wrong in terms of the suffering of others. That's a definition for me. That is as salient a definition for me as your personal subjective choice to define right and wrong in terms of pleasing your boss. That's absolutely a subjective, and
not the same thing.
It's exactly the same type of thing. It's exactly the same. It's expressing a preference. It's expressing a preference for an outcome.
Yeah.
My preferred outcome is limiting the suffering of others. You've demonstrated aptly that you don't care about limiting the suffering of others. You just care about pleasing your boss. Now, shame on you for saying that. Shame on you for saying that. But we get it. You've said to Sean,
I have a justification like you.
No, you've already admitted that if God wasn't watching, you wouldn't care about saving the child. So
no, I didn't say that. I said that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Without God,
we all heard you say that. And retreating into without God you couldn't reason is just pulling on. It's pulling on the pre-sup alarm bell because you're losing the moral argument. But I'm not going to let you out of the moral argument.
I'm going to give him an opportunity to change his answer. Let's say you found out no God exists and an assailant was about to cause harm to a child. Would you be willing to risk yourself, even knowing there is no God, to protect the child from harm from that person?
That's a fallacy. That's a false dilemma, according to my paradigm.
It's not a fallacy or a false dilemma. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
No, it's not worth it.
So you avoided answering the question.
Yeah.
You coward.
It's not a false dilemma. It's a hypothetical. If you're incapable of engaging in a hypothetical, in a dialectic, you shouldn't be on here having debates.
Okay, I'll answer how you guys want me to then.
There's no how we want you. We want you to give the answer truthfully.
I'll tell you the truth. The truth is, because I already believe that there's a God and that there couldn't not be a God, obviously I'm still going to hold the same moral standards.
Changing the hypothetical to one that's more convenient for you is not answering the question. It's answering a question I didn't freaking ask. If you found out there was no God, would you still risk yourself to protect a child from harm? Yes or no?
well, that's a contradiction if you put it like that.
It's not a freaking contradiction.
Okay.
It's a
Last chance. Last chance for you to engage honestly with this. If you're not capable of engaging honestly with this, let us know by making some excuse like it's a contradiction or something like that. If you knew there was no God, this is hypothetical. We're not suggesting that you do. If you knew that there was no God, would you be prepared to put yourself at risk to help a child? There's no contradiction there. It's if you knew there was no God, would you be prepared to do that? The answer is yes, you would, or no, you wouldn't. So which is it?
Okay, so if atheism was true, which I don't believe, but let's just say it was true, then your question would then apply, and I would
no, just a yes or a no, please. Just a yes or a no. Yes, I would. Yes, I would be willing to do it, or no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would, but in the real world view, like this doesn't matter because God does exist, and we know that.
Okay, fine. But if you would, then what you're saying is, you're just saying that if your answer is no, you wouldn't, then you show yourself to be a monster, right? If you say yes, you would, the thing you're talking about, that instinct of wanting to do it, even if there wasn't a God, is the same reason that motivates us. That's it.
That's a false world, though. That world couldn't exist.
Saying it's a false world and it couldn't exist is just assuming that which you're trying to prove. That's circularity all day long. We're not going to let you do that.
I can already prove that God exists.
You can't. You can't.
Yes, you can.
So what I'm trying to get you to see.
Call back next time and do.
Have you ever heard of act impotency?
So in the dying moments of this conversation, as you desperately scrabble to abandon the moral argument that's pulling you under the water, we're going to say to you that you got a glimpse of it then at the end when you said yes, I would. What you were saying was
this is a fantasy sci-fi.
You were granting that we have an instinct to help others, that we have an instinct for compassion, that we have an instinct for empathy, that we're not just out for ourselves. And that's part of being human. That's you glimpsing a part of your own humanity, which your religion tries to subvert. So I would say, hold on to that part of yourself.
That's like watching Star Trek and saying
it's. I'm talking right now. I'm talking right now. Hold on to that part of yourself because it's a much better, nicer, kinder, more empathic, more human part than the religious dogma that you've been spewing up until this point. So you've discovered something good about yourself today. Hold on to it.
Can I respond, or are you going to kick me?
Well, we're going to move on to the next call, but what did you want to say?
I just wanted to say that's like watching Harry Potter and then asking me a question about Harry Potter and then saying, oh, well, we're going to take that answer and we're going to bring it to the real world. And now your argument doesn't stand. So have a good day, man. But you can't say that grape is wrong. You can't say that unalive babies is wrong.
Okay, we're not going to let you. We're not going to let you reiterate all of that stuff again. We've explained to you that we can say that those things are wrong. We've just explained that we have a different we can say that they're wrong under all circumstances, and we just say that we have a different basis. This is now the 5th time I'm explaining this to you. It's almost as if you just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but you said it's not wrong apart from your views on it. So if you change your view, it would be right according to you.
I said that it's always going to be wrong according to my view.
Yeah, but if you change
your preference, it's always going to be view, and that's the same with you for any of your
if you change your preference
too. That's the same with your view too. So we both have a subjective view of ethics.
Change your preference, it would be good.
If I change my preference, then I will have a different view on it. This is obvious. This is not deep. This is obvious. If I changed my preference, then I would have a different view on it.
Wow, what a bad worldview.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem here. I think you're just trying to manufacture outrage out of a situation, out of misunderstanding. So
this is why chattel slavery happened, because of your worldview.
No, chattel slavery happened because your God liked it. What an incredible note to end on. This is why chattel slavery happened, largely because of Leviticus chapter 25, verse 44, 45 in your Bible.
46.
46, thank you.
46, yeah.
And all the religionists who kept chattel slavery going for the longest time because it was divinely mandated, place after place after place after place after place in the holy book that you didn't want to talk about today. So not having that one, my friend. Okay, we are going to move on. It's incredible to me that they've got their script, which is, the moment you say that your ideas are right and wrong, stem from your own moral intuitions rather than a holy instruction book, that somehow renders those things less important, less valuable, less meaningful, and that their ethics are real because they come from God. But they're never willing to talk about what they actually involve, are they? And then he went to chattel slavery. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, we are going to get our next guest in just a moment, which is going to be Dabucator. But we're going to just have a couple of super chats first. Buzz says, BB is the world's most dangerous terrorist now. He's certainly up there, isn't he? Certainly up there. They got to get rid of that guy. And Buzz said, Ouija dismissed now. I know. It was kind of cute, though. He was kind of cute, that guy. I would have rather kept on speaking to him than the other chap. So disingenuous, so unwilling, so cowardly in his refusal to answer simple ethical questions. We answered, you'll notice, all of his without hesitation. And Smy Guy said, keep up the amazing work, guys. Fight ignorance wherever you find it. Well, thank you. There seems to be quite a lot around. We will keep on doing that. Thank you so much. And Babs says, if you blindfold all the players, Ouija doesn't work. That's absolutely right. And I love that we're using the term players. But that's absolutely right.
Thought of that.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of that.
It's a simple test. It's a simple test. Employing the scientific method by just putting on a blindfold. And suddenly... It ain't spelling words anymore. Okay, let's get Dabucator in, if I'm saying that right. I may not be. We'll try. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty fine. Had a nice day. What about you guys?
Excellent. Couldn't be better. Right, so our claim. Atheism makes more sense. What do you think?
Okay. May I ask in total what your worldview is, and specifically on atheism?
Sorry, may you ask what, sorry?
What your worldview is? Is it just regular classical atheism, or do you have any other specific beliefs for that?
I don't know what regular classical atheism is, but my worldview is that I quite like chocolate. I think dogs are really cute. I like cats as well. In fact, I like them both. And I like the smell of baby's hair. And I don't believe in any gods. But that's not a worldview. That's just a fact about me. How about you?
Okay. Well, I'm more of a dog person, and I do believe there's a God. So maybe we should get into that part of the argument.
Let's do that. Yeah, I mean, I'm being slightly obnoxious, but I want you to realize atheism isn't a worldview. It's just a position on one question. You will find atheists. You'll find atheists with 100 different worldviews about all sorts of things, socially, politically, morally, philosophically. So there's no one thing that keeps all atheists together. It's just a question. Imagine asking someone if they believed in horoscopes, and then they say no, and then thinking you can infer their worldview based on that. You can't. It's just a one question thing.
Right. By worldview, I was meaning specifically towards the religion.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean.
Okay.
So, specifically, I imagine since it's your guys' stance, I should make an argument, right?
I mean, we're making the claim, so you can respond to the claim if you want to. My claim is that atheism makes more sense because I don't think there's any reason to think a God exists. And
Okay.
you've already said you think there is. So my two questions for you would be which God and what do you think the strongest reason is?
Well, I think specifically the Christian God makes the most sense. And
Okay.
my reasoning is simply because as I look to and I find myself in the universe, there's that argument of the Kalam cosmological argument, of course, which it does not make logical sense to me that something that like begin does not have a first cause, and so whatever begins into existence
we know the
has
argument.
a cause.
Yeah, we know the argument. So
Right.
is your position?
Allow me to state the point so that anyone that's watching that does not know it.
I will. I will. But before you do you notice that I asked you what do you think the strongest argument is? So is your position, before you spell it out for us, that you think the Kalam cosmological argument is the strongest evidence for the Christian God?
No, but I think it's one. Do you want me to just state one strongest evidence?
State the thing that you think is the strongest piece of evidence that you have. Is it that, or is it something else?
Okay.
Because we're going to be able to remove that as evidence for the Christian God in less time than it takes you to boil an egg.
Well, I doubt that, but it sure would be cool to have my mind changed today in this argument. By the way, are your minds like even able? Like, are you open to change your point of view if you're proven wrong?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, then this is a fair debate.
If that's what you want to go with, is that what you want to go with? Because you said we won't be able to refute the Kalam cosmological argument.
No, let's go with morality. How about that?
Okay. If you think that's the strongest.
We just did that in the previous call, but we can go again. Sure.
Right. That's kind of the reason I chose. To be honest, I think that I can argue for any point, but
just pick the one that you feel most confident talking about, and that you think it offers the greatest motherload of evidence for your beliefs.
Right, so I don't have a specific one that caused the great. I think every single one of them is very great evidence. I'm gonna choose morality, given the reasoning is because I feel like a lot of people on this live after the last guest just started to have doubts about morality, and so I just want to reassure them.
You're going to set the record straight. You're going to rehabilitate the moral argument.
I'm surely going to try. If I didn't try, I wouldn't be here.
Sure. Okay. Right. Go for it then.
Yeah. By the way, is this how you normally run lives? Two people against the one, or am I going to be a specific person?
Sean is the co-host, so there's two of us up here. We try not to gang up, but there are two of us here. It's not how I normally run lives. It's just this is how it is. Sean is the co-host on every show. We don't do panels. We don't get loads of people up, but Sean is here every show. And he's here every show because I asked him to be.
I just never seen you, so I didn't really know what you normally do. But okay. So the very simple claim is that without God, morality does not necessarily have a reason. Morality does not exist. It does not have a start. It does not have a background of reasoning. That's my claim.
Okay. So do you think?
So what makes?
Go.
Okay. All right. So what makes an action moral? What distinguishes a moral action from an immoral action?
Well, that's necessarily what I'm here to debate about. What I believe, and I'm sure that you don't agree with me. Well, I believe that there is a God, that when he created us, he gave a sense that exceeds something that is biochemical, it exceeds something, because this is not a trace we can find, something that is physical. And it's a thing just like love. I think morality comes from the metaphysical side of our creation, in which someone, or not necessarily someone, or a being outside of the metaphysical could only bring into.
I don't think you understood my question. I don't think you understood my questions. Okay, so there are adjectives that describe subjective things like delicious and beautiful. There are adjectives that describe objective things. For those objective things to actually be objective, they have to be mind-independent criteria that are definitionally meeting the criteria of the adjective. So, for example, a head is objectively bald if the criteria it has no hair. Water is objectively frozen if their criteria it's in a solid state. An action is objectively moral if the criteria go.
An action is objectively moral if the criteria fits within what we know and what has been established in us.
What criteria is that? What criteria is that?
Well, what do you feel when you do a moral? Let me ask you, when you complete a moral task, what type of feelings do you feel? Like, how do you feel? Do you feel a sense of fulfillment?
I subjectively feel a certain way about certain actions, but person A says X is moral, person B says X is immoral. What is the criteria by which we distinguish one from the other? How do we determine who is right?
Right. So obviously, killing a baby is wrong.
Whoa.
Okay. So I didn't ask for an So what's the criteria for determining X? So person A says, because a lot of people disagree about moral claims or moral assessments, right? So person A says X is moral, doesn't matter what. Person B says X is immoral. What is the criteria by which we distinguish one from the other?
I think the main criteria is God's character.
Okay, if it's in God's character to torture babies, does that mean torturing babies is moral?
Is this in any sense? Is this a hypothetical question?
Yes,
Are you truly insinuating that?
Well, I mean, it's sort of both, but I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole of showing you like things in the Bible. That's a separate thing. So for the sake of this, let's just call it hypothetical. Let's call it hypothetical for now. If God said torturing babies is moral, if it was in his nature that torturing babies is moral, would that make it moral?
If it was in his nature, because we are an image of his nature, then necessarily the morality that we would have is the same. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. See, I think I think that is a problem for your morality. So here's what really happens. We start with what we value. We value those things subjectively. So John and I value the well-being of others, and we assess actions with how they affect the well-being of others. If they do harm, we don't like the action. If they help the well-being, we like the action, right? You subjectively value blind obedience to your God to the point to where if it was in God's nature to torture babies, you would consider that to be good. John and I do not value obedience when it comes to behaviors. So we just value different things subjectively. So can you demonstrate that your preference is anything more than just a preference of blind obedience?
But once again, it's not necessarily my preference, because the hypothetical question that you brought up was not of the reality. It is like you said, a hypothetical question, so it doesn't even apply to our reality. Hypothetical meaning it is not currently what is going on. If God's character in the reality of the hypothetical question that you brought up, insinuating that it was right to kill babies or not, and then of course, in my opinion, that I'm gonna say this, is that we wouldn't even know the difference between the wrong and the right of killing babies, because our whole sense of morality comes from the character of the God. Now, I think it's funny that you brought up a hypothetical question and tried to insinuate that I believe that whether I
didn't insinuate. You answered yourself.
But sir, you're trying to say that it's my specific, that my response, that my preference is this. But how can my preference be from a hypothetical world that doesn't exist?
Do you think the Bible's true? Do you think the Bible's true?
Well, let me finish saying this. I want him to explain how that's feasible.
I'm going to explain this to you right now. Do you think the Bible's true?
I do think the Bible to be the word of God. I believe that the 66 canonical books of the Bible is the word and living true word of God.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so when God tells people to go and kill children, would it be the right thing for those people to have done it?
So do you want to continue on the argument that you were, or do you want to start bringing up biblical arguments? Because if you want to start bringing up, then I'm going to need specific verses, because you know as well as I am, when you just start bringing up ideas, then there's absolutely
1 Samuel 15:3. 1 Samuel 15:3.
Okay.
Now go and attack Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. This is God ordering his people to go and kill children. Was it right?
Okay, so can I
was
ask you
was
guys
it right? Was it right?
Do you know who the Amalekites are?
Yeah, I know exactly who the Amalekites are. Was it
Explain
right?
to me
Was
who
it
the Amalekites are.
was it right? I will tell you everything about the context of this verse for those who don't know it. Was it right for God to tell people to go and kill children? I want a yes or a no from you now.
I want to ask you this question: from my morality or from God's standard?
No, I want you to tell me if you think this
From
was
my
right. Because
morality.
hang on, listen. You've come in to make a moral argument for God, and the basis
Yes,
of your
of
moral
course.
and the basis of your moral argument for God is that without a God, you can't have morality. So now I'm showing you God's morality, and I'm asking you if you think it is moral. So here's God telling men to kill children. Do you think that this you think that this was morally right? Yes or no?
Do I think that children should die? Absolutely not. Do I think it was just? Yes.
Yes or no?
For example,
so it was just.
yes,
It was
yes,
just to
I
kill
think
the
it was
babies.
just.
What?
Right.
But let me
is
tell
it
you,
ever
no,
just
let me ask you a question. If a guy is found convicted, hold up, because you asked me a question, and now I need to ask you a question for me to understand your morality.
But before you do, can we just pause? No, but before we do, we're just going to pause. And
You're
just
not gonna let me ask my
I'm
question,
going to
sir.
let you ask your question, but before you do, we're just going to pause and just note the fact that you have endorsed men killing babies and infants, children and infants with swords. You have endorsed this. You think this is good. So now that we all know that, it's going to put our discussion about the morality that you think is so important that we derive from God into context, isn't it? Because we now know where that morality gets you. It gets you to. It's okay. It's okay on occasion for men to kill children with swords. My position is that that's never okay. I think I rest easy at night knowing that one of us has a sound morality and one of us has a depraved morality, and it's not me.
Firstly, I'm genuinely amazed that you two are meant to have such amazing arguments, and you went back to a very simple argument, which the reasoning is that to defend yourselves, you had to put words in my mouth. Now, I don't know if you understood or if you just understood and chose to not repeat what I'm saying.
You said it's just to kill babies. You said it's just to kill babies.
We all heard you, my friend. We all heard you.
So are you going to let me
Put a one in the
continue my
chat
points?
if you heard him say it's just to kill the babies in the case of the Amalekites.
I mean, like, if we're not gonna be able to put
no, you're gonna give your excuses.
I don't think this is gonna be a just argument.
You're going to give your excuses for why this genocide was acceptable, just in your view. For anyone wondering, the Amalekites had attacked the Israelites 400 years previous to this revenge attack. This attack was explicitly framed by God as a revenge attack to avenge them because they waylaid the Israelites as they came out of Egypt 400 years previous to this. This was not a defensive attack. The Amalekites were not a threat to the Israelite people. This was a revenge attack where God told men to go and kill children. And our friend here thinks it was just. Okay, well, hooray for your God-given objective morality. Look what it's made you. It made you a fucking monster, my friend. You're up for men killing children with swords. So however you might want to pirouette around it now and try to provide post hoc justifications for what you said, you're the one who said it. You're the one who said it. Because when Sean brought up the idea of hurting babies before, the particular tap dance you danced then was, it's hypothetical. When I showed you an instance which is not hypothetical, but in your view, historical, suddenly it's just. And you're going to have a reason for why. But it's not going to be a good reason. Because there aren't any good reasons for men to kill children with swords. So you may now express your excuses.
Excuse me, for some reason I'm muting myself. So you're meant to have solid arguments, but you turned back into putting words into my mouth, and you for the last 3 minutes you have not let me even explain and debunk how silly your argument is. If you let me speak interrupted for 2 minutes, I can make you look very silly, sir.
You can just explain your justification for men killing babies. That'll be a start.
No.
Go for it.
I can do what I need to do to debunk your points. So first of all, I don't think you were honest with me when you told me that at the start you were willing to have an honest argument. Because before I even answered and I brought up my own example, you already started telling me what my own argument is. Because so you don't want to hear my arguments. You're just ready to completely debunk it. First of all. Second of all, I did not say that it was right. My morality that I got from my yes, exactly, and there's a distinct.
Okay,
if you want to bring up the order? Was
the order? So
No. I need you to let me answer. You said
just. You said just, and John said that you said it's just.
We are not going to be able to have.
You said just. You said it was just, and John said that you said it was just. So John was being accurate, correct? Yes or no? Yes or no? You can unmute.
So
Sorry,
sad.
I keep getting muted.
Stop using up your time complaining about the way the conversation has gone. Provide your justification for men killing children with swords, please.
Sir, I wouldn't be doing that if you were trying to have a just argument.
Great. Why is it just for men to kill?
No, sir. It's not great. He just asked me, stop trying to waste your time complaining about a just argument. And I'm telling you, this is not a just argument. You're not allowing me to project my point. You're not allowing me to debunk your
Did you say
your claims.
It was just?
Oh, sir, please stop interrupting me. Like, you're not allowing me to debate my point.
Get to it.
Okay, I will if I don't get interrupted once again.
Dear.
So first of all, if you want me to pull up the dictionary between what is morally right and what is just, I can tell you what the
defend your claim that
definition-
it's just.
I can tell you this is me defending it. I can tell you what the meaning of just means.
Do you want me to tell you? Because it was just explain why it's just for them to kill innocent people.
I know where you want me to go, and I'm gonna go there, but you need to let me build my base first.
Go for it.
You need to let me build my base first, sir. Okay. Thank you so much. So, first of all, I think it's unfair that you started to put in words in my mouth in what I think is morally right or not. No, in any instance.
Nah, not going to listen to that anymore. Sorry. You had your chance to make your case, and again you went back to how you think it's unfair that we're putting words in your mouth and all of that. We just wanted to get the justification, and all of that twaddle was because you know you don't have one. Sorry, we're going to move on. Total waste of time. Came in to argue for God, decided to bring the moral argument, flubbed it, realised where it got him to, and then, you're putting words in my mouth. We didn't put the words in your mouth, my friend. You put them there yourself. You said right and wrong comes from God. They're reflections of God's nature. I gave you an example where God's nature was reflected in his commandments to his people and asked you, do you think it's right? And your response was, it was just, which in this context doesn't really matter. Whether you think it was just, whether you think it's right, there's not a material difference between those two things. And then when we gave you an opportunity to explain yourself, all you could do was complain about how we'd put words in your mouth and we weren't giving you an opportunity to answer. You spent more time talking about how we weren't giving you an opportunity to answer than you could possibly have spent giving an actual answer. So that's not a serious conversation. We're not here for that. Okay, think about what you're supporting there, my friend. Not good. Not a good look. When you find yourself defending genocide in front of, infanticide even, in front of 1,000 people on the internet, time to think about your life choices again. Okay, let's get Galaxy Yoda in next. We will do that after these important messages. Tim said, play really messed up with Borg Collective when Borganization was right there. Is that a Star Trek thing? I don't know what that
Next
means.
Generation. Play really messed up with Borg Collective when Organization was right there. I don't get the reference. Well, I mean, he's referencing the Borg in Star Trek: The Next Generation, but I don't quite get the post.
I'm not smart enough. Again, I'm never smart enough. And Nick Willett says, if it is the case that God doesn't want to intervene in life, then why did he kill everyone? Right. Yep. And all the free will of the people who didn't feel like being drowned that day was apparently unimportant to him. And Buzz said, I was cast as guitarist to play with the singer of the Newsboys. I said, no, I don't believe in your cause. Chappie said, do you need to believe in Jesus to play guitar? I said, good point, I'm in, but I play my own solos. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Buzz. And Givendale, no message with that one, but thank you so much for the support. And Givendale says, been deconstructing for a long time now. I know this nonsense on stilts is harmful, but I'm torn up. Keep going. This is helping me. Max in East Yorkshire, England. Well, I'm really pleased that it helps. This is really why we do this stuff. I know that it's helpful for people to hear these horrific cults torn down, and they deserve to be torn down because they cause a huge amount of harm and they wreck people's minds. Look at that last person we spoke to. He's completely sure that he's in the right there. He's defending the killing of children. Absolutely horrific. Okay, we are going to get in Galaxy Yoda, and then we have Hayes after that, and Can We Agree after that. Welcome in, Galaxy Yoda. How are you?
I'm doing pretty fair for a square. How you doing?
Good. Just going to get your name up on the board for us. Galaxy Yoda. There we go. Right. Well, you know what our claim is. Atheism makes more sense. That's our view. What's yours?
Oh, I have to agree with you guys with the last fellow. You know, when God gave the command to go kill all women, children, etc., even to say to kill the animals. You know, but there are rare situations to where you take a look at it like American Sniper, where you have a child that's loaded up with bombs all over that child, walking toward a bunch of other U.S. soldiers, and he has to make a split decision in that matter.
Yep.
Some say he was morally corrupt, or he's actually a hero.
Babies.
For actually doing what he had to do. You know,
babies. Men sent to go and.
I totally disagree with that. I just have to. I have to disagree with it. Just for little babies could actually be placed in another home, be raised around people that are going to raise them.
So you agree that this commandment from God was not good, right?
Not to kill little babies. No, it's not good.
So God cannot be all good then, right?
Cannot be all good. I'd have to refuse. I have to sit back, and I would not be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to kill little babies like that.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. And that shows that you have a better morality than the God of this Bible.
Oh, I got my issues. You can rest assured on that. But
we all do.
One of the things stepping out of my personal experiences, you know, is because being human with the senses, we all wheel and deal in feelings at times. Stepping outside of that, I've had time throughout the years I reflect upon, like, what's my main thing, like why outside of indoctrination or my experiences with all my different studies and whatnot, what would be the most plausible thing for me to accept why I believe in an intelligent external God outside of this universe is because as a human being and coming from a human standpoint, it's easy for me to look towards there being that in the sense that my very existence, your very existence, and everyone out there that's listening to this, their very existence is due to intelligent external guidance in their life. If not for that intelligent external guidance, they would never made it out of their infancy stage or phase. And does that guarantee or mean that it has to be outside, it has to be behind the universe itself? No, but it's very plausible to believe that, seeing that I'm actually an aspect, an intricate part of this universe. For me to believe that, hey, it's very plausible for me to accept.
Can I try and understand what you're saying, to just kind of cut to the chase? Are you saying that some beings, this is not ubiquitous throughout the whole animal kingdom, some beings, mainly mammals, have to be raised and guided in their early life and shepherded into kind of adulthood by some sort of, in this case, parent or supervising figure? And therefore, we should infer the same might be the case for reality itself.
Particularly with human beings, I'm referencing. And
but why does that follow? Why does it follow that a particular behavior pattern that a particular species of mammals do on life on Earth would be also reflected in reality itself, being shepherded into existence? That doesn't follow, does it?
Well, I wouldn't find there being like other like mammals within the so-called like the creatures on this blue marble sitting around chatting about whether or not there's a God behind it all. I'm just saying from a human standpoint, I know you leave a human infant to itself, it's not going to exist past that infancy stage without that intelligent external guidance, whether it's from a mother, an uncle, or from some whatever. It could be, even with intelligence today, it could be a robot or whatever it is, some form of guidance, intelligent external guidance, in order for that human being to make it out of its infancy stage. Without that, you wouldn't even be existing today.
But there is life that does make it out of its infancy stage. Turtles are hatched from eggs on a beach, and they make their way to the sea, and off they go to live a turtle life. Why are we just picking one species and then looking at the way that species raises its young?
I'm picking us because this is our topic. This is our discussion. We're
humans. But why should it be the case that anything about the way that Homo sapiens happen to develop into adulthood is reflective of anything to do with the world or the universe or reality itself? That seems very arbitrary, doesn't it?
You're actually an intricate aspect of this universe, are you not? You're part of this universe. I'm part of this universe.
It doesn't follow that the universe would therefore share our properties. I mean, I go to the toilet regularly. Does that mean the universe goes to the toilet regularly?
From a
no, you don't, John. Everyone knows you don't. Sorry, I just had to throw
it. Fair.
From a human point of view, it's a given that it's like, that intelligent external guidance is a major part of our life. You would not be here talking with me right now. I'm 51. I don't know how old you guys are, but you wouldn't even be here talking with me right now if it wasn't for your mother or whoever it was that was bringing you out of your infancy stage. So it's quite feasible for me to believe that there was an intelligent creator behind the existence of everything. Why not? Because it's part of my existence.
How does that logically follow? How does that logically follow? Some species, the infants of some species depend on their parents in order to survive. Therefore, an all-powerful creator of the universe exists. Like, how does that logically follow?
It makes more sense for a human being to think, I sit back and I think about it, and like right now, to say that everything came into existence out of chaos. No, mind you, now we're humans. I understand there's nature and there's nurture both. And then the nurture is where it gets kind of like crazy. If you have a tribe of people that are cannibals, then those kids could grow up to be also cannibals as well. And
I mean, how is this getting us to God though? What you presented was like a non sequitur. It's like saying most pancakes are round, therefore Fords last for a long time. Like one does not.
It correlates.
No, okay, so draw the dots for me, because I'm not seeing like the logical dots from.
The logical dots is your mother. If it wasn't for your mother and her path, you would never have made it out of your infancy stage. She had to actually bring you forth out
what
of
does that have to do with it? What does that have to do with an all-powerful creator of the universe?
Your existence is due to intelligent guidance, so therefore it makes sense to also apply it to
a biological being who gave me guidance. But how does that mean that there is a all-powerful, all-knowing creator of the entire universe?
Well, you were dependent upon your mother, were you not?
I was dependent upon my mother, yes.
Strange argument.
Did you ever find it weird that the Bible starts off with Adam and Eve? He created a man and woman that are adults. Because there's not a human infant on this planet.
Yeah, I found it. Not only I find it weird, I found it impossible because we evolved from earlier species of primates. But that's neither here nor there. I still don't get I still don't get the logical dots. Like my mother, who like everything already makes sense on its own. My mother and father had sex, and then there's a sperm in the egg. We understand the biology, how a fetus grows, and everything becomes that. We understand that mothers and parents have a biological like propensity to like want to protect and care for their children, and that is explained through biological evolution. So you have this thing that happens where some species, not all, some species of life, the parents care for the children. I don't get from that to therefore there is a creator of the entire universe.
And you don't have to. That's your choice. I'm not here to say that that basically what I'm saying is it should make sense to everybody, because it's not going to. As it stands as right now, you actually, even when it comes to morality, do I believe that a gay couple out there could have just a much more morality within how they live their lives as a straight couple? Absolutely. You have to judge according to how people act and how they interact with other people. But as a human being, not that I'm a turtle, not that I'm some other whatever type of other species that is out there. That was like not even that was like a plant life. They're totally dependent upon the sun, et cetera, et cetera. Humans were totally, when you're infancy stage, you were totally dependent upon something more intelligent than you and its guidance in your life to make it out of your infancy stage.
All right. Well, we've been around this a few times. We're never going to understand. We're never going to understand how that fact about human beings gets us to therefore God. But hey, it makes sense to you, and you're not treating people badly. Fill your boots, my friend. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. You guys have a great day.
And
bye-bye.
Take care. Okay, well, what I will give our friend there is that an original argument. It's not one I've heard before. I'm not sure I'm desperately keen to hear it again, but there we are. Each to their own. We are going to get Hayes in next. We'll just do a couple of quick super chats. Anonymous. There we are. Not sure what that was, but there we are. Nick Willits, thank you for the super chat. Again, I say you lose all accountability and responsibility by giving up to God. So very sad. That was when we were speaking to Prof earlier, Prof Husso early on, and Australian Animal said, if creating life gives you the right to destroy it, then Geppetto has every right to torture Pinocchio, right? I absolutely think he should do that. And last one for now, M. Wiggy said, I'd posit, that if you need an objective reason to not harm children, you aren't a good person. That's right. You think? I completely agree. Oh dear. Believers keep on coming in here and making the moral argument and just getting absolutely chewed up because it's a horrible argument to lead with. I feel slightly sorry for them, if I'm honest.
It seems to be the one that they feel most confident in too. And
wild. It's wild. You're guaranteed to get made mincemeat out of because it's so horrific. Okay, Hayes, welcome in.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you perfectly well. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Our prompt today, is atheism makes more sense. So, what would you like to say?
Okay. Yeah. So, when you say that atheism makes more sense, are you saying it insofar as any argument given that God exists seems to be or is improbable under your view? Any argument that has been presented?
Yeah, either improbable or just a bad argument. So an example would be the moral argument that we just heard. It just crashes in flames because it isn't an argument. It's just saying someone else doesn't like the basis on which we make our ethical intuitions and form our ethical intuitions, and they prefer the basis on which they make theirs. We each have a basis. We each have an outcome that we want. Mine is avoiding suffering. Theirs is pleasing a God, and that's demonstrated. That's provided as an argument to demonstrate the existence of God. It singularly fails to do that. So every other argument I've heard fails in slightly different ways. They all fail basically for not being fit for purpose. They're fallacious, or they have basic structural problems, or they assert premises that are not possible to demonstrate. And so, given that there's such a failure of evidence and argument, it makes more sense to adopt the neutral position, which is to say there might be a God, but the time to believe that is when there's some good evidence for it.
Oh, I see. So you're taking an evidential problem of evil account, saying that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence in which we can say that an overwhelming amount of evils for which we can show or talk about within the world. Therefore, how can you make it the entailment that an all good being is a thing in which foundates all of reality if these things are existent in
that's
evidence?
One argument, but I mean a simpler argument would just be there's no evidence for God.
Okay. Well, are you aware of the mystic type of accounts and where they ascribe to things like the essay and essence distinction? Sorry for the stutter.
That's okay. No, that's okay. I don't think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. So basically, under this view, they define two things: essay, which is the act of existing; essence, which would be what a thing is, and it answers with the definition of it an object. So if you say what is the nature of a tree or the nature of a horse, that's going to be the thing in which falls under essence. esse, which is the act of existing, would be what that thing is, which is like whatever makes or actualizes the potential of something else to bring it into existence. Do you understand the distinction?
Not entirely. Not entirely. I mean, it sounds like a very sort of philosophical argument, but I'm trying to follow you. But
yeah, sorry.
Explain how that gets. How does that get us to a god?
Got you. So the way that this argument follows is that like you're not gonna say that what a thing is going to be the same thing as what something appears to be. Like I'm not gonna look at you and see that like you're like that you wear glasses or that you have a mustache or anything like that, and that's gonna be the thing in which is the complete definable traits of you as a person. The act of existing or existence itself is going to be, you know, the only thing in which we can say is like the objective feature. If you do exist, you do exist. If you don't, you don't. That's going to be the distinction between what a thing is and the qualities of said thing. The reason why this leads into God is because we cannot have like infinite regresses of actualized like potentials, like for example, something
that was a long way to that was a long way to get there, and this argument comes up a lot. And there's no problem of infinite regress. I've heard arguments for it. I don't think any of them hold up. And funny enough, cosmologists don't seem to have a problem with an infinite regress too. If somebody could just write up the contingency argument in a peer-reviewed paper and submit it to like a scientific journal that deals with cosmology for peer review, you could falsify all cosmological models that posit an infinite universe into the past. But
I'm sorry, can you restate that? I cut off a little bit. I apologize.
No, that's okay. So I have not heard a convincing argument that we cannot have an infinite regress. And funny enough, the physics community that, you know, particularly those that deal with cosmology, don't seem to have a problem with it either. It seems like, and I know this isn't like a great argument in itself, but it just seems like if somebody can make the like, if it's just a simple logical problem, these guys that have done like crazy high levels of mathematics that some of which you or I haven't even heard of, spent, you know, decades of their life studying the stuff and crunching all the numbers, haven't figured that out on their own too. Why doesn't somebody just write a very short, easy, logical argument for why the universe had to have a beginning and solve the problem that cosmologists right now haven't been able to solve themselves, because they don't know if the universe is infinite into the past or not. And many cosmologists like Alan Guth believe that's, in his words, almost certainly eternal into the past.
Almost certainly eternal into the past.
Yeah, that was according to Alan Guth.
I would like for one, I would like to ask for more extrapolation upon that. Like when you say like are you trying to say that like the universe itself could just be something in which is infinite and unpaused insofar as it doesn't need like some existential,
which is exactly what you think God is, by the way. That's exactly what you think God is. So you already admit that there's a class of objects that have those properties. Infinitely into the past, uncaused, necessarily existent. So you think something like that can exist. Now, if we grant that, I would just say, well, you presumably think that God wasn't created at some point.
I mean, I can say that God, I can say that God wasn't created at some point, and then provide, you know, reasoning to back that without the appeal to, you know, like the same manners of explaining why the universe could itself be like. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you may be able to come up with a justification for why you hold that view. If you think that there exists a class of objects that are unbounded in the past, necessarily exist, and don't require an explanation, then that's fantastic. You and I are aligned on that. You think that the object that satisfies those requirements is a supermind, magical supermind of some sort, and I just think it's reality itself. One of those things we have abundant evidence of. One of those things exists currently as nothing more than the subject of myths. I think I'm standing on more solid ground there than you, don't you think?
I don't think that it would be like falling on more solid grounds. for one, if I say that like the regress itself, like if we dive back into that, is like a metaphysical impossibility, because the source of like existence is unexplained, even with the existential amount of evidence, not existential, but the like
What do you mean by
large
the
amount.
source of existence?
Like
If the universe has always existed as a brute fact, what are you referring to as the source of existence?
Yeah, I'm saying that it's that it seems to be like a metaphysical impossibility when you talk about like the universe itself being brute, because if we were to talk about what a thing is, then we can describe its existence via something in which is prior to it, in which actualized the potential for that thing to exist.
What's special about God? What's special about God that you're pleading makes it okay for God to have an infinite regress, but not the universe itself?
When you say God to have an infinite regress, are you saying like, are you trying to say that like God, like there could just be an infinite regression of like
Well, how long
of
do
the
you
universe?
think? How long do you think God existed? Did God have a beginning, or did he always exist?
Sorry, I had cut out. Hello?
That's okay.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So I'm asking you, how long do you think God has existed? Did he have a beginning, or do you think God has always existed?
Under like a theistic view, they they ascribe to the basis that God is
Who's
pure.
they? I'm asking you your position. Did God have a beginning, or did he always exist?
Sir, when I say they, I'm just in reference to like both Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle's.
I don't
work,
care about
which
I
is
would love
the
for
thing in
Thomas
which I
Aquinas to
applicate towards my view.
Yeah, well, just adopt the view. I don't care about Thomas Aquinas or they or whatever. Just asking you your position.
Yeah.
Do you think God had a beginning, so he's got a finite age, or he's always existed?
Yeah. So what I was going to say was like, no, I don't think that God has a finite age, but I would appeal to the view that God is a pure act being, which is to say that
What does that mean? Go ahead. Sorry.
It's just to say that God's essence is to exist.
The universe's essence is to exist. Go on.
It's God's essence is to exist.
It's the universe's essence to exist.
Why are you trying to be weird about this? That's not in any way what I said.
Well,
he's just making the point. He's just making the point that all of these claims that you're making about God could equally just be made about the universe. You're essentially just special pleading. You're just saying that the universe has a problem with an infinite regress, but your God doesn't have that problem because Aquinas said so. It's not a serious argument.
It's not because Aquinas said so. And I don't know why it seems like you guys are trying to say that there was no any explanatory power as to why I said that there is a prior being, or how you could say that it shows any type of correlation to the worldview in which you're trying to bring about. When you say that the universe is itself brute, and I say that lacks.
No, we didn't say that. I didn't say that. We've made no claims about the universe. What we're saying is we don't know if the universe always existed in some form, or if it had a beginning. If it did have a beginning, we don't know what the cause is, and there's no reason to think it's a thinking agent that is the cause of the universe. These are just unknowns, not just by us, in cosmology itself. The guys whose job it is to actually study this stuff, who's taken all the higher level physics and everything. So you're actually delving into, I know like you're making philosophical arguments, but you're treading on actual science. The age of a star is science. That's the purview of science. The age of a galaxy, the universe itself is the purview of cosmology, a branch of science. They haven't figured out if the universe is eternal into the past. And you're basically saying it can't be, but you're making your special pleading for your God that, like, you don't have a problem with eternity when it comes to your God, but you have a problem with it when it comes to the universe. And I want to know what is special about your God that you are pleading that couldn't just apply to the universe itself.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part? I apologize.
Yeah, I want to know what is special about your God that you are pleading could not be the case for the universe itself.
like, what is the case for the God in which I am pleading for?
Yeah, that what allows your God, what attributes does your God have that allows it to have an infinite regress, which you claim is logically impossible? By the way, is an infinite regress, and if you don't know the terms, please let me know. I'm not trying to Philbro you. Is it, according to you, is an infinite regress nomologically impossible or logically impossible?
If I remember, like when you say nomologically impossible,
That just
like
means
I'm not.
No,
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
okay. It just means impossible, like within the confines of like how the laws of nature and science and physics, etc. Like, so for example, it's logically possible for me to jump to the moon, but it's nomologically impossible for me to jump to the moon. So are you claiming it's logically impossible for the universe to have an infinite regress?
Oh, I would say that it is like a nomological impossibility for the universe to have an infinite regress, as well as I could say.
Are you qualified to assess that? Because you're not. Now you can dive into philosophy if you want to try to claim there's like a logical impossibility, but when you say it's nomologically impossible, you are asserting science and physics, which the actual scientists, physicists don't hold to. Like, you're not, none of us are remotely qualified to make those big pronouncements about the universe and whether it's physically possible for it to have a infinite regress.
Yeah, I see where you're going after. Well, I apologize. It wouldn't be a nomological possibility. It would be like a logical impossibility because yeah, I don't think that there can be like an infinite chain of
I got you.
divine beings for which have the omni properties that were talked about.
Now you have a problem. Now you have a problem. So two things. You need to identify the P and not P. So it's your claim is it's a contradiction. It violates the law of non-contradiction. Or let me back up because I don't want to like steer you to an answer. Which so the core of logic is the law of non-contradiction, identity, and excluded middle. Not necessarily in that order. Which of what laws of logic does it violate for the universe to have an infinite regress?
Like, well, I would say that like in reference to like an infinite regress of gods, it would be a problem with like the identity.
No, the universe. No, the universe. An infinite regress of the universe. Which of the law of what law of logic does it violate?
I think. Well.
And if you don't know the answer to it, like, you can go back to the drawing board and come back to us. I don't want you to feel pressured to give an answer. Yeah, to give an answer that you're not confident in, or you know what I mean. I'm not trying to like trick you or like, but like, please, if you're like, ooh, that's a good question, let me think on that and get back to you.
Call us back tomorrow. We're on the same time tomorrow. Although we'll be on this time tomorrow from 5 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow we'll be doing the same again. So feel free to get your thoughts together on this, regroup, and come back. But it's an important point Sean's asking, because this claim of there can't be an infinite regress is made as if it's a thing that's been demonstrated. It's not. There are models of an unbounded past that are completely used. Infinite sets are used in maths. These are not problems.
I mean, I guess like at least the way that Atheism would talk about it, like, and this is just going on. I'm going off of my own notes here. So I would say that the metaphysical impossibility would be like when we talk about something coming to be, like, by definition, like there would be an intermediate cause in which would cause like the potential itself to be like actualized. And if there isn't a foundation in which we can rest on, to say that the universe is existent and there's nothing present in the universe for us to arrive at the conclusion that the universe is just something that has always been, or that there are other universes in which exist within said infinite chain. If there's nothing for which points us to that, then there's no sufficient grounds for us to
even
say
if
that
there
an
were a
infinite chain
foundation,
exists.
even if there were a foundation, you're a billion miles away from demonstrating that that foundation would be a mind, that it would have any properties other than it could just be a brute fact of nature. Is that there is something which is just a brute fact that serves as the foundation for all the following contingent things that spring from it later. You're talking really just about a terminus, aren't you? A terminus of causes and actualized potentials. But you can't demonstrate that that has to be a mind, or that it even could be a mind. It's just kind of cool sounding, but you're not
or that
anywhere
must
close.
be a prime mover.
Yeah,
or that there must be a prime mover.
I was granting it temporarily.
Yeah.
You can't demonstrate that such a thing has to exist. And even if you could, even if we granted it, it could just be some brute fact of nature. And you must be okay with something being a brute fact, because presumably you think God is a brute fact. So again, as with the special pleading for God, as opposed to an infinite past, for God to have an infinite past, we just say, well, he's just allowed to have one. If you think God gets to just be a brute fact of reality, then we could say the universe might just be a brute fact of reality. And all that's happened is you've redefined your brute fact and personified it. That's it. You put a hat and a joke moustache on it and called it your friend. Whereas we're just saying we don't know what it is, if such a thing even exists.
I mean, if we I'm not saying that God would be like a brute fact, because I think that would if you accept that a massive or complex physical reality exists, and there is no there's zero reason for its existence, it just seems as though you're abandoning everything that is needed for us to arrive at understandings of reality in the way in which we say that something comes into
you're doing the same thing for your God.
Wait. And when I talk about God and the way in which God acts and stuff like that, I'm not going to be implicative of something in which lacks explanation for his existence. We can go off of the products or the things in which the things of reality to make the assertion that there is a being in which foundates it, which is why I was bringing up the essence essay distinction as a means of saying we can't have an infinite regress of essences or existences. And
not?
I don't think either of you would say that something's essence and existence can be the same thing. So when I say that God is pure act and is existence, it's not going to be delving into something in which lacks explanation. In fact, it is founded upon something in which does have supplementary evidence.
Until the point that I ask you, what is it that actualized God's potential? At which point we suddenly have special pleading invoked. Well, God doesn't need to have his potential actualized by anything because he's self-actualizing. Well, the universe could be self-actualizing too.
The universe is pure act. Magic. It's solved.
Yep.
Wait, I'm kind of confused on how you're saying that that's what I just went after is special pleading.
Because the whole argument is based on your distaste for the idea that things are being actualized by other things and that must be terminated somewhere. But when we arrive at the thing that you want to be the terminus for everything, which is your God, we can ask the same question of that and say, well, what is it that actualizes God's potential? And the answer to that, presumably, is...
there would be nothing in which actualize God.
Nothing is required
because
to
God
actualize
something of potential.
Right, but that's just a claim. That's just a claim you're making because it's convenient to say that, to give yourself the cutout from the problem.
No,
That is the special
Oh, sorry for
pleading
interrupting.
that we're
My
talking
apologies.
about here. And we could say the same thing for the universe. The universe itself is full of things that need to have their potential actualized. The universe itself does not need to have its potential actualized. It's self-actualizing. Done.
That doesn't show any like the principles of the arguments like at hand don't even seem to correlate. When you make or like at least when I make the statement that God wouldn't need to be pure act and has no potential, and this is grounded insofar as the infinite regress problem and like in reference to the essence essay distinction is like relevant. Like I still don't see like.
Does anyone actually believe because of these arguments? Because these are 700-year-old arguments. Does anyone actually really go, oh yeah, hallelujah, Jesus, because of this? These are just intellectual exercises that people use to give the appearance to themselves as much as to anyone else of having a firm, rational justification for believing that occasionally donkeys talk.
Wait, wouldn't you say the same thing for somebody or for anybody who appeals to any biblical entailment, or for anybody who appeals to a basis in which lacks explanation?
Yeah, I mean, people have all sorts of reasons for their arguments, which is why I really loved Michael Shermer's book. Michael Shermer's book, Why Do People Believe Weird Things, talks about this, that people believe things for non-rational reasons, emotional reasons really, and then they construct these reasons after the fact to make it appear that these are well-founded beliefs, but they're not.
Emotional or non-rational part of what I said.
No, I'm not saying that you were saying emotional things. I'm suggesting nobody comes to faith.
But what was the non-rational part?
No, you're giving a rational argument. You're giving what sounds like a rational argument. I think it's fallacious for the reasons we've already explained. That it's appealing to a special pleading for God, and you're exempting God from the same requirements you're subjecting the rest of reality to, just because you feel like it and because you decide to define him that way, which is just silly. And the argument I'm making now, the thing I'm saying now, as we wrap this up, because I can't subject our audience to this any longer, is I don't think anybody comes to religious life through these arguments. These arguments are typically discovered afterwards, and then they're used as a kind of scaffold for things that people believe for other reasons.
Got you. If you do want to end this here, then that's completely fine. I did enjoy having the conversation with y'all.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
To, talk about my worldview. Y'all have a good day.
Sure. Thanks, Hayes. Keep well. Thank you. All right. We will get Gene in next. We'll just do 2 super chats and then get Gene in. Buzz said, this was when we were speaking to Dabacator earlier. This guy thinks that humans, a shit species, is the final destination. What an arrogant prick. I thought he had a few problems, that chap. Too much confidence in his ability level. And just some random dude on YouTube, great to see, friend, said objective morality is just God's subjective morality, transcribed by the denomination that you just happen to agree with. Well, absolutely right. And that's why people will defend the killing of children, because the boss said so, so it must be okay. Right, let's get Gene in. We have spoken to Gene before, I think earlier in the month. Or even a few days ago. Hey, Gene, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello, hang on, that's the wrong name. Put the wrong one on. It is this one. There we go. At least it will be. Sorry. Nope, it's not clearing. Oh, I see why. Sorry. There we go. Welcome back in, Gene. How's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Good.
Oh, and well, yourself.
Yeah, it's good, except my my naming system is not working properly. It keeps on putting Hayes back on the screen again. There we go. Finally, normality is restored. Well, welcome back. I don't have a note from our previous conversation. I know it was on the 7th of August, but I can't remember what we talked about. So, would you like to start again? Atheism makes more sense, is our claim.
I actually did kind of want to attack that infinite regress question, because I personally do find it objectionable. So I wanted to test my understanding of it.
Can I request that we don't spend too much time on it, because I can hear the audience groaning. There's only so much time we can expect 1,000 people to listen to us talking about whether infinite sets are a thing. It's like, I know math is cool and everything, but at some point we've kind of litigated it. In a nutshell,
what we can
have like 5 minutes on it, and then move on or something.
Well, maybe we can get to at the end, because I do have some historical arguments that I would like to make to you and see what you view of. Well, first I'd like to ask how you view historical arguments, like for example, Constantine or the Battle of Tolbeek, these kinds of things.
Having his vision,
with those,
his dream and his vision. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think that's a story we can ever verify, but apparently he did have some kind of dream or vision that moved him to convert to Christianity, and the fate of the world was sealed in that moment, wasn't it? I think people convert to religions for many different reasons, and sometimes when emotions are high, these things can happen. I don't think it speaks at all to the truth of the religious claims behind it. It just, if it were true that he did have that that kind of experience, it would just be a statement about his personal psychology at the time.
And then any like repeated versions of this, I'm assuming you would give the same answer to?
Yeah, I mean, history is full of people having profound experiences that they interpret through the lens of spirituality. You know, this happened to me because, and I think we can accept that people have experiences without necessarily accepting that their interpretation of those experiences is correct.
Okay, that's interesting. So, in essence, basically, they're crazy.
I'm not saying that is especially in the context of heightened emotions and stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean they're crazy. People misinterpret their experiences all the time. People claim to have had, alien abduction experiences, or people claim to have had succubuses, succubi sitting on them in the night. And some people have special kinds of dreams, hypnagogic hallucinations, where they have very profound experiences of being between a sleep and wake state, or hypnopompic hallucinations, where they have other types of experiences in their sleep, and they can be very, very powerful, and people report all sorts of things. It doesn't mean they're crazy. It just means that if they take those experiences at face value, they may not be seeing the full picture.
Or importantly, religious experiences from a multitude of different contradictory religions that cannot all be true, but they can all be wrong.
Right.
I personally would disagree with that statement, that they, like, for example, we have Islam having conquered a majority of the earth, or not majority, or whatever, a large swath, right, based on a religious experience. So from my perspective,
you don't think people have religious experiences in like Hinduism and Buddhism, etc.?
No, I accept those. From my perspective as an Orthodox Christian, those are real experiences.
Okay, are they indicative that they're when somebody who's Muslim has a religious experience, is that indicative that Islam is true?
Well, it's indicative that there is a being that they are worshiping, not necessarily.
That wasn't my question.
Islam is not true. No.
Okay. Is Hinduism true? No. Is Hinduism true? So basically, people having a religious experience is not evidence that their religion is true, right? Or the truth of their religious belief.
I mean, they are interacting, from my view. Obviously, you don't accept this, but from my view, they are interacting with spiritual beings.
That wasn't my question. A Hindu having a religious experience is not evidence that the claims of Hinduism is true, correct?
This is a thorny topic from a Christian perspective, right? Because
great, then you can answer it though.
Okay, so if you're a Hindu, for example, and you worship how many they worship, right? my understanding is that is an actual event that's occurring in the world. Those are beings that are actually being worshipped.
Okay, so is a Hindu having a religious experience evidence that the claims of Hinduism is true?
No, from a Christian perspective, those would be.
I'm just asking you.
I hate to say this. This is why this is a thorny topic, but those are evil demons.
Right, but they could make the same claim about you.
They could,
obviously,
but I think we could point to certain results to.
So people can have a religious. People having a religious experience is not evidence that their religion is actually true. Now, if you have some other evidence, or is it only evidence that it's true when it happens to Christians?
I would pause there because I've just granted all religions are true.
But you can't grant that you can't grant that all religions are true because they make contradictory claims. This is nonsense.
Yes,
it can't be true. It can't be true that Jesus is divine and also that he's not divine. It can't be true that there's one God and also that there are thousands of gods. They cannot all be true.
So first of all, I wanted to say what I mean when I grant that the religions, they are worshipping actual beings that are telling them to do things. The things they're telling them to do are incorrect from a Christian perspective, right? But they are actually doing something, right?
Gene,
like there are people that were worshipping idols in the Old
that's
Testament.
fine. We understand what you're saying, but the position you're spelling out here is you're saying that when people other than in your religion have these experiences, their perception of what's going on and what's really going on is different. But when you have religious experiences or people in your religion, then their perception of what's really going on and what's really going on are the same. That's a preposterous position to hold.
Well, I would argue there's constant fear of being deceived from my perspective. So it's not that the Christians are the only can only have true experience of God. Right?
I'm delighted that you have a fear of being deceived, but you seem to have written off the possibility that you are being by declaring that your religion is true. Right. All the others aren't true. When they're having their experiences, they've obviously have been deceived, but you're definitely not deceived. Like, it's not enough to say a constant fear of being deceived. If your fear of being deceived was high enough, then you would approach your own religious claims with a bit more circumspection.
Yes. So Gene, see things from our perspective. We see all of these different contradictory religions that cannot all be true, all having religious experiences. At most, one of them can be right, and they could all be wrong. You're saying, hey, mine is the one true one. They have these experiences, but they're being deceived, and I'm not. I'm saying, cool story, bro. What's your evidence for that? Because the experience itself cannot be the evidence because they're all also having experiences. So how can you substantiate your claim that they are all being deceived and your experience is true and real?
I mean, I would point to the historicity of the crucifixion, which I think is rather unique in religious terms. Right? I think most religions that I can think of, maybe the Buddha would have been considered a real person. Maybe obviously
all religions have something unique about them. So you have claims. So people being crucified in that day was wholly unremarkable. Most of them were thrown into mass graves. What I'm more interested in is what is the evidence that he was actually divine, or rose from the dead, for that matter? What's the evidence of that?
Well, it would be very difficult if you don't accept the Bible for rose from the dead, but for his divinity, we're not accepting Constantine and the other societies built by Christ.
People believed a thing isn't evidence.
It's not just that they believed; it's that they created a society. He overturned Rome,
that
which is a pretty remarkable event.
That's evidence. That's evidence of a successful cult. It's not evidence of the truth of their beliefs.
So it's Islam. Islam is on track to overtake Christianity in a few decades in terms of numbers, and Islam has had a profound effect on the entire world. Is that evidence that Islam is true?
That's a very fair point. No, but there are very.
Right.
That's a very fair point. So, but like
Yeah,
I'm saying, that there are other elements that you're adding on top of these, or just of the fact that obviously Christianity took or created a society. You have a historical crucifixion. I
don't care. People are executed all the time, especially in those days. Like, why?
No, but my point is that the historical, like, it's historically verified what's in the Bible, at least to the point of crucifixion.
Okay, so what? Like, I could read a Spider-Man comic book and have historically verified facts that are in the comic book. That doesn't mean that like Spider-Man actually exists or any of the supernatural abilities of Peter Parker are real.
So would you argue then that the Bible is on the same level as a comic book?
Yeah. Well, no. I want to be fair. No, hold on. I want to be fair. The comic book, the only difference I see is the comic book does not attempt to present itself as facts. It is like portrayed as fiction. The books of the Bible are attempting to portray themselves as facts, but the intent of what somebody's trying, like, of the writer, is the only difference. The evidence that supports them, are on par. Like,
fictional stories.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible wasn't intended to be written as fiction. I don't have a reason to believe that. That's the only difference as far as I can tell. Both have wildly insufficient evidence to believe them, at least the supernatural claims of the Bible.
Okay. I mean, I feel like getting into talking about the Bible is not particularly fruitful if you're dealing with if you're talking to an atheist. So
yeah, right. Unless you can, unless you have a good argument, and now you take the Bible as, I guess, tongue-in-cheek, literal gospel, because there's gospels in there, but like, you take the Bible as like this ultimate, reliable paragon of truth. And do you have an argument, a convincing argument of why we should treat it the same way?
Yeah, I believe in order to assume that the Bible is false, you need to come up with I would say a rather, I'm not going to say unbelievable, a rather unlikely theory for the source of that deception. Like, why would someone, are they seeing the future that they're going to create?
We're not the ones.
Christianity?
We're not the ones making completely preposterous claims about the laws of physics being temporarily halted or ignored or paused, about miracles, about walking on water and loaves multiplying and people risen from the dead and being healed and oceans parting and animals talking. The burden is not on us to demonstrate how we would possibly come up with an explanation for why we shouldn't believe this book. This is a book of fairy tales, my friend. This is wizard stuff, as I say. You are arguing for wizard stuff. Our position is simply that the world seems to operate in very regular ways. By induction, we look at this and we can see it all around us. The world has a regularity to it. Nature has a regularity to it. If we are being told to accept that regularity is occasionally suspended, you better have some pretty good evidence to back that up. And all we have are stories told round the campfire. That's it. Not good enough.
Okay. So your argument would be it's fair to reject the Bible out of hand because it makes impossible claims.
Would be to say, unless you can come up with some very good evidence, it's cliche to say extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, but it's a cliche for a reason, because it's a fair point. If you tell me you had eggs for breakfast, I'll accept that. I don't demand to see the evidence. If you tell me that you did it on a flying lion, I'm going to need to see some evidence rather than just accept it. And these claims are huge. They're what we're being asked to accept here is enormous. And so to invert it and say it's for us to come up with an explanation for how these stories could have spread, whatever explanation we come up with is going to be 1,000 times more likely than that the creator of the universe did all of this stuff and focused on getting his message to us via stories written in dead languages on parchment in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. That's preposterous.
Okay, that's a very tough position. And I was an atheist. My conversion was not logical. So that's
it's the big of you to admit that. Like, I don't mean that sarcastically.
No, it's definitely because it's a relational experience, blah, 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 whatever. But we're not going to talk about historical events because, and I will grant that, that's fair. You can say that people have extraordinary experiences when they have like extraordinary situations. But I would argue, I would just say right now that there's a lot of historical events that would point in the direction of religion rather than atheism in terms of how humanity has formed in its progression to where it is now. But what else would I point to? I think I probably would try and leave off here with that infinite regress thing. And then cut it off because I don't know exactly that I have the perfect thing for this.
That's fine. We're going to get Can We Agree in next. So let's tie it up with 2 minutes on why you don't like infinite regresses.
Right. Because, first of all, the issue is that the thing that's being explained is a cause, right? It's not just an existence. So you have to be able to explain how something causes something else rather than just the fact that you have like an infinite string of things going back into the past. So it has to have causal power. In order to have that causal power, it has to have an existence. And in order to have an existence, in at least in the world that we know, it has to have a beginning of its existence. It was probably how I would argue.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's a solid argument against an infinite regress because you could just have an infinite regression of causes. There's what would be the principle that would act to terminate the maximum allowable number of causes, right? Oh, you've used them all up now, you're finished. No more causes going back in time. What would be the principle that would limit that?
Well, I mean, it's going to be domain specific, first of all. But entropy would probably be the main one that I would argue.
That's that's pretty not where I thought you were going to come from, because you're making a philosophical argument and then appealing to thermodynamics. I wouldn't go there if I were you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't exactly have it nailed down, so
sure. Well, nice to talk to you again, Gene.
Yeah, same for me, and Sean as well. It was a fun conversation.
Good stuff. Keep well. Thanks. All right. Well, we did have another guest in the TikTok queue, but I'm wondering if it might be time to start wrapping this up, because, of course, this is the second half. The second half has been going for nearly 3 hours, and I think we were doing about 4 or 5 before that. So there's probably a reasonable innings. I'll read the remaining super chats and then see where we're at. We will just take that off there like that, and let's see what we've got. Tim said, this is while we're speaking to Galaxy Yoda, mental issues? Ha! I have a subscription. Yeah, me too. And Tracy T, the wonderful, the god of the Discord, says, greetings, my gorgeous boys. I got home today, had a decent mini vacation. Shaunathan, sex symbol Sean, SK John praise Puff. All hail the Nope. Thank you, T. T's the best. Can't get enough of T. Absolutely superb. Superb. Thank you, friend. And Tim said, I don't know if it counts as incest, but I think my dad had smex with my mom. Disgusting behaviour. Disgusting. And Herbie Shine. Great to see Herbie. Did Sean suggest my mum ever had the nasty? What are you saying about my mum, Sean? I will not be impressed if you say that again. Yeah, there we are. And Bethos said, watched the partial eclipse today. A prophecy made by science came true to the minute. I always use eclipses as my examples of how much more impressive scientific prophecies are than religious prophecies. You know, with science, you get a solar eclipse predicted at a specific spot in the world to an accuracy of 1 minute, perhaps decades or centuries in advance. That will always come true. And religion gives you, there will be wars and rumours of war. Astonishing. Astonishing. Okay, we are going to get another guest in. We've got, looks like Benbow Brew coming in. We'll do another one and see what happens. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome in.
Thank you.
I think I've misspelt your name, but forgive me for that. Never mind.
That's fine. That's not a problem.
Right. So our claim, atheism makes more sense. Your response is?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this will technically be considered an opposition, but I would personally say that I think agnosticism is more believable than atheism.
I would say that we can clarify a few terms here. So
okay.
If you think about it like this, everyone in the world is either a theist or they're not a theist. So all the people who you would say are practicing what you would call agnosticism, which is to say like, well, I don't really know. I haven't made up my mind. I'm not sure. All of those people.
Sorry to interrupt you, but for me, it's less of like I've not made up my mind, but it's more like I can't claim to know these questions that people spend essentially their whole life trying to figure out.
So I can't claim to know means, remember, we're not talking about whether it's true. We're not talking about whether a God does exist. We're talking about people's opinions about this. Yeah. These words like atheist and theist and agnostic and all of these words, they're designed to describe people's belief states. So you either have the belief state of thinking a God exists or you don't. There are no third options. If you don't, then included in that set are the people who say, I haven't come to a conclusion about this yet. Because if you haven't come to a conclusion about it yet, it means you're not a believer. If you were a believer, then you have come to a conclusion about it, however tentatively it might be. So the people you're referring to as agnostics fall into the set of people I refer to as non-theists, otherwise known as atheists.
That's a good point. So you would just lump them basically together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's a reasonable thing to say. I don't think many people would disagree with that, but like, I think that it's just such a nuanced question, like what is the meaning of life, essentially, that, you know, people do tend to gravitate towards religion, which I can understand, but I would just claim to be the type of individual that, I know you say it's not sort of possible, but I just can't claim to believe in you know, nothingness, essentially, you know?
You don't have to believe in nothingness. I don't believe in nothingness either.
Okay, so I've got maybe a counter question for you. What do you believe happens after death?
Very little. I believe the type of activities you do after death are very similar to the type of activities and the range of activities that you did before you were born.
Yeah, I would say I probably agree with that because, you know, a big point of contention for me was I just hated the thought. I mean, I'm 24 years old. I'm still quite a young man, but the thought of just nothingness after death, it really is quite terrifying to me. So I understand people that conform to religion because it's almost a comfort.
Fear of death. But all I can say to you to comfort you is, how much did you suffer before you were born?
Not at all.
It'll kind of be a bit like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought, to be fair.
All right. Well, we're going to move it on, dude. Good luck to you.
No worries.
And you're an atheist. You're an atheist. Wear the badge with pride.
Okay, I shall.
Yeah.
I shall.
All right, friend. Take it easy.
Thank
Good for you. Cheers,
Bye
man.
now.
Bye-bye. All right. And we have James. We'll bring in James. Was in the queue before. I thought we might get James up before, but he has returned. Hey, James. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well indeed. Thanks for joining us. Just get your name up on the board. There we go. Welcome in. So, our claim, atheism makes more sense. Your response?
Well, atheism is the lack of a belief in a God. So what is the belief you're saying makes more sense?
It makes sense to have a lack of a belief in a God because there's no evidence that would justify the belief.
Well, definitionally, God's all-knowing, all-powerful. wouldn't it likely be beyond our comprehension?
It may well
If
be.
it's beyond our comprehension, then we don't have a reason to believe it.
Well, knowing that it would be knowing that there'll be no reason to believe it, wouldn't that then make it possible that there is a God?
It's still possible.
We're not saying it's not possible. We're not claiming it's impossible that there's a God. We just don't believe. The only rational position is to withhold belief until there is sufficient evidence to believe something. Would you agree with that?
No, because in the event it turns out there is a God, and say it's one from an Abrahamic religion, by not believing in it your whole life until there is evidence, you're now going to go to hell. So,
what if the God his name is Atheismo, and he values logic above all else, and he's perfectly hiding so that he can punish the believers and reward the non-believers? Wouldn't it make more sense to not believe just in case that God is real?
Yeah, but no one's written that God up in a book yet, so unfortunately.
Oh,
no.
I did it myself. I wrote it up in a book. So
you need to put it in a book first,
becomes...
mate.
But James, your argument is silly. Your argument is that something becomes worth worrying about if some people 2,000 years ago wrote it in a book. That's ludicrous.
No, it doesn't even need to be 2,000 years ago. Look at atheists. They believe in the Big Bang Theory, a lot of them. Someone else wrote that in a book more recently.
A lot of them?
No, the Big Bang is not something that atheists believe in that was written in a book, my friend. Honestly, you need to brush
Many
up,
of them do
brush up a
believe in the
little bit.
Big Bang.
People who
it's
got nothing to do with atheism. People who have some basics of scientific education are aware that the Big Bang is a valid model for cosmic expansion,
including Christians, by the way.
Lots of Christians accept Big Bang cosmology because they have some education in science and they are aware of the evidence. Don't think that the Big Bang is like an atheistic idea. It's not. It's just science.
That's ludicrous.
It's science in the same way that photosynthesis is science and that the Earth going around the sun is science. The Earth going around the sun is not an atheistic idea, and neither is the Big Bang.
No, I agree with that, but I've heard a lot of atheists go, God didn't start the world, it was the Big Bang, even though the Big Bang has no prime mover in the sort of theory.
Well, I don't know who you've spoken to, but we see no reason to think that the Big Bang was the start of the world, as you say. There's no reason to think that's the case, and you maybe need to speak to some slightly better informed people. I'm not sure who you've been speaking to.
But do you believe in the Big Bang then?
It's not a thing you believe in. It's a thing that you accept the science for.
It's a theory.
You
Why
accept
would you have to accept the
you
theory?
accept the evidence for it. Do you know what the evidence for the Big Bang is?
I know they've got photos of the radiation caused by it, but other than that, I don't really know.
It's not photos. It's not. They don't have photos of it. It's the Big Bang is the expansion that we can view. We can see the universe expanding around us. Everything is moving apart from everything else. And when the mathematics was done to model this scenario, it came out that we would expect to find cosmic microwave background radiation at a very specific type with a very specific property. And it was something like 40 years until it was discovered. And when it was discovered by accident by two guys working on a radio telescope array who went on to win the Nobel Prize, it was exactly what it had been predicted to be if this thing had been true. So when you say it's just a theory, that doesn't mean it's just an idea. It means there's an enormous amount of evidence behind it. Huge amount of evidence behind it. So it's not something you believe in. It's something you either know the science or you don't know the science. It's like if I said to you, do you believe in penguins? You don't believe in them, you just know they exist. And so it is with the cosmic expansion. We know it's happening. It's still happening now.
I've never actually seen a penguin, so actually I do believe in penguins. But what was I going to say? As an atheist, how do you believe, Earth how life began?
Well, we know how we began, but in terms of all life, this was a conversation we were having earlier. It seems like the ingredients for life are fairly abundant. The sort of basic building blocks for life are abundant, and we've found the building blocks of life, RNA, etc., on asteroids. The stuff that makes life happen is all around us. And we also understand from experiments done in the last century that under certain conditions, these things can be galvanized into producing self-replicating molecules, which are the basis of life, We know that this can happen. So my guess is it started by natural processes using ingredients ubiquitously available all around the universe. And in some places it couldn't happen, and in some places it can happen. And of course, we're going to find ourselves in one of the places where it can happen, because we couldn't find ourselves in a place where it couldn't happen because it couldn't happen. Make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that part. But what, honestly, I'm running out of arguments. I am an atheist. I just join every live to play devil's advocate. I fucking suck at this. I'm sorry, that's what.
All right. Well, we'll say goodbye, James. We appreciate more genuine callers than that. Thanks for calling in. Okay, I don't like that at all. Don't waste our time, people. Please don't troll us by calling up pretending to be believers. It's a waste of everyone's time. Okay, I'm going to call it because it is 11:15, and going to make a move and have some dinner and do some things and then get some sleep. And we will be back tomorrow for the evening stream. Of course, I have 4 more super chats which I must read before we tie things up. Travis said, John, this is wizard stuff, would look good on a mug. It would. I should put it in the merch store. And I should speak more about the merch store and tell you fine people about it. I will provide some links to the merch store tomorrow. And don't forget, I'm going to trail this again tomorrow, but don't forget on Friday, we are going to be joined by Dr. Todd Phillips, the absolutely amazing ex-megachurch pastor, who is now a fearsome advocate of free thought and deconstruction and all the good stuff. And we're going to be sharing something really massive with you on Friday by way of news, something very exciting and good. And Coco's 9652 says, ugh, atheists and their disregard for wizard stuff. I know, what can you do? And Coffee College 987, thank you for the super chat. I've been atheist now for 5 months, thanks to badasses like you, John. I have less stress in my life and feel so empowered. Thank you. Mods are greater than gods. Well, Coffee, I'm delighted for you. I'm really, really happy to have played even a small part in the work that you did, having the courage to ask questions, get through the difficult parts, and I'm overjoyed to hear that you have less stress and you feel empowered. Good for you. This is what it's all about. I'm really, really happy. What a fantastic super chat to almost end on, because the last one is going to be Bethos saying, if heaven's future can be infinite, why not the past? Of course. And I do often ask that. Do you think we're going to run out of moments in the future? It wouldn't be very elegant if that is open-ended, but the past can't be. So, very, very good point. Thank you, Bethos. All right. I would normally do all the things, the bingo and the leaderboard and all of that, but it's not been working well today. So I am going to be tinkering under the hood of all the systems between now and tomorrow evening's stream. Hopefully I'll be able to get everything working again. I really am curious to know what's happened. I hope it's something I can sort out quickly, but I will sort it out one way or the other, either before tomorrow or after if needs be. But I am on it. So tomorrow we will be back at the usual evening stream time, which is 10 p.m. UK, 5 p.m. Eastern time. And it remains to say thank you to the wonderful mods on both chats. You're all amazing. Thank you so much. And of course to Sean.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoyed it, John.
Cheers all. Same time-ish tomorrow.